Chapter 169. Did you forget? Didn't she ask us to go to Pan Zhang's ward the next day and arrest his father as well? Actually, I had already decided that it was a good Samaritan, but I still had to pay for it. That's why I didn't tell you in detail, afraid that you'd feel bad about it. I see. Chen Guang nodded heavily. So you can go find him and come back as soon as you find him. Sun Xiaoxuan's eyes lit up. That's right. To Wang Run, it was a brawl, but to Officer Wu, it was a good Samaritan. By the time Officer Wu arrived, no matter how much Wang Run tried to jump around, the Wenxing Branch Bureau's investigation would make Wang Run a clown. Who knew? The Academy might even reward Chen Guang for this matter. But what about yesterday's incident? Sun Xiaoxuan obviously knew about yesterday's incident. Chen Guang waved his hand indifferently. Dong Tao didn't come today, which means yesterday's incident didn't affect him at all. Fatty Wang must have only one trick up his sleeve. Hurry up and come back. We're waiting for you to save our lives. Sun Xiaoxuan calmed down. Looking at Wang Ren's smug face, he felt like he was a clown. What are you guys mumbling about? Hurry up and go. Wang Ren became impatient when he saw that Chen Guang didn't move. Sun Xiaoxuan quietly retreated to the back of the crowd. Chen Guang raised his head and glared at Fatty Wang. Are you rushing me? Fatty Wang. Zhuo Jingxi quickly pulled him back. All right. Calm down. How am I going to help you with your attitude? After another commotion, a group of people walked majestically toward the academy building, attracting a lot of attention along the way. Those with keen eyesight and information sources recognized Chen Guang, who was walking in the middle, and whispered amongst themselves. This guy is that Chen Guang from yesterday's school forum, right? Looks like he's going to get his comeuppance. I think something's wrong. Do you see the person walking in front who looks like an official? Do you know him? Who's that? Wang Run, the infamous scumbag of the school. That's the one who forced me to death. Shh, keep your voice down. Don't let that guy hear you. Otherwise, even if we're not from the same academy, he can still use his connections to find trouble with us. Sai, he's been targeted by that scum. That Chen Guang is going to be in big trouble this time. Chen Guang didn't care what these bystanders thought. At this time, he was very casually chatting with Lin Jingwei. Lin Jingwei moved closer to him and whispered, looking at Fatty Wang's attitude. It seems that he wants to get you fired today. When we get there, control your emotions and don't fall into his trap. Even if the matter of beating up Pan Zhang is set in stone, strictly speaking, it can only be a big mistake. Since Chen Guang was confident in his heart, he casually waved his hand and continued, Don't worry about it. Didn't you notice that there's a very important person missing from our class team? Lin Jingwei looked left and right and found that Sun Xiaoxuan was indeed gone. Where did the class monitor go? Chen Guang chuckled. His eyes drifted in the direction of Wen Xingjian outside of the school. He whispered, What do you think Fatty Wang's expression will be when our sister, Officer Wu, arrives later if the police label me as a righteous person? Will he give me a demerit? Want to fire me? Lin Jingwei understood tacitly. He chuckled. Brother Guang, you're really something. I really want to see Fatty Wang's expression when he give you a big slap in the face. Rin Yuan and the others only know that you were taken away by the police. They don't know what happened after that. They definitely didn't expect that you would be judged by Officer Wu, right? Chen Guang also chuckled. Of course, just listen to me. Remember not to spill the beans. Also, tell Bai Nyangzi and Xiong to keep them quiet. If the sky really falls, we can only slap Wang Ren's own face. Lin Jingwei nodded. No problem. I was scared to death. I almost thought I had to find someone. Chen Guang asked curiously. Find who? Wang Ren's grandson looked at Chen Guang with a suspicious expression. Lin Jingwei had already stepped aside and did not answer Chen Guang's question. 10 minutes later, everyone arrived at the school's conference room. It was the same room that Chen Guang's class used to receive the MIT professor. In fact, it was not suitable to punish students in public. However, everyone in the environmental sciences class insisted on entering the conference room, and Wang Ren could not stop them. Vice Director Han stood up to be the peacemaker and finally let everyone in. Wang Ren thought, it doesn't matter. I'm well prepared and have witnesses and material evidence. Even if these brats make a fuss, it's useless. It's better to let them see clearly what happens when they offend me. It will also make Jingxi understand that sooner or later, Monkey-san will not be able to escape from the palm of Buddha's hand. Even if there's a large group of monkeys standing behind Monkey-san, it is useless. Oh, right. I didn't notice before, but there are quite a lot of beautiful girls in this environmental sciences class. I hope you don't give me any dirt on you in the future. Yeah. Where's the class monitor who was quite tough just now? That girl is the prettiest. No wonder that idiot Pan Jiang fell for her. Forget it. It's better that she's not here. Without her, the testimony of Ren Yuan and the others will be more authentic. Director Wang, we are already here. Just say what you want to say. Anyway, in my opinion, Chun Guang is excellent in both character and study, and is a rare talent in our school. There must be some misunderstanding about what you said. Clarify the misunderstanding as soon as possible, and this matter will be over. Vice Director Han seemed to have made up his mind. As soon as he sat down, he took the initiative to speak. What he said was to help Chun Guang. Chun Guang gave Vice Director Han a grateful look. Everyone knew that Wang Run had a strong relationship with the school's higher-ups. It was really rare that Vice Director Han was willing to help him to this extent. Zhuo Jingxi also sat next to Chun Guang. She looked like she was going through thick and thin with him. She said loudly, "Chun Guang is my student. I know him very well. I don't think he's a fierce person. Last time when our class received Professor Schmidt from MIT, you were also there. You saw with your own eyes that Chun Guang won glory for the school and the school. I hope that when Director Wang makes some decisions, you will not disappoint the majority of the students." In fact, she had already made up her mind. If Chun Guang was really expelled because of Wang Run, she would not be able to continue as a counselor. If Wang Run got rid of Chun Guang, the next person to be unlucky would definitely be her. Forget it. If he leaves, I'll leave too. As the dean of the school's student affairs department, Wang Run had to play the leading role in this kind of meeting. However, he was not in a hurry to start the show. Instead, he smiled calmly at Vice Director Han and Zhuo Jingxi. "Teacher Zhuo, don't get agitated. Of course, it is not up to me to decide whether it is right or wrong. Everything has to be based on evidence. However, not everyone is here yet. Let's wait a little longer." As soon as he finished speaking, two figures appeared at the door of the conference room. Everyone looked up and was shocked. The principal of the school, Vice Director Tong, and another deputy director, Deng, actually appeared at the door at the same time. What kind of situation was this? There were 3 deans in the school, 1 principal and 2 deputy directors. Because of Chun Guang's matter, they were all gathered together. Chapter 170. Old Han glanced at Wang Run, and his face suddenly became very gloomy. This was troublesome. Of course, he knew that Deputy Dean Deng was the one who was on Wang Ren's side in the academy. Looking at Dean Tong's unwilling expression, she must have been dragged here by Deputy Dean Deng. If both of them were here, if Wang Ren really made the evidence irrefutable, he wouldn't be able to protect Chun Guang. It's no wonder why Wang Ren dragged me along despite knowing my attitude towards Zhuo Jingxi and Chun Guang. So it turns out that you still have a trump card. Wang Ren, are you trying to take me down a notch? As soon as the 2 deans entered the door, they immediately became the focus of everyone's attention. Dean Tong pressed Deputy Dean Deng behind her without changing her expression. She waved at the crowd and said with a smile, "Recently, the school has been focusing on the construction of the academic atmosphere. I heard that some students in the school have encountered some problems, so I'm just here to listen in. Don't be too nervous, everyone. Today's meeting is still presided over by Director Wang. That student, Chun Guang, right? Don't be too nervous. We're a school, a place to educate people, not a court. We always treat students with leniency. As long as the violation is not too serious, anything can be discussed." As expected of Dean Tong, she reacted very quickly. She spoke casually, but then sat on the left side of Old Han as if she hadn't said anything. Deputy Dean Deng also smiled and waved at the crowd. "My attitude is exactly the same as Dean Tong's." After saying that, he sat on the left side of Dean Tong again, and the 3 deans sat together. "Old Han, why are you here first? Is it really so serious?" Dean Tong tilted her head slightly to Old Han's side and asked in a low voice. Old Han was about to say something about Chun Guang's behavior when he received Chun Guang that day, which could be considered as helping Dean Tong to have a good impression of Chun Guang. Deputy Dean Deng suddenly came over and said, "In my opinion, our school's discipline should have been improved a long time ago. Our academy is famous for being a large compound of monks. Males make up the majority of the population. These young fellows are all hot-blooded and vigorous. If we don't properly discipline them, who knows when they will cause a big problem. Even the three of us, as the deans, will not be able to escape responsibility." Old Han's awareness is really high. He came here early in the morning to oversee things, unlike Old Tong. I had to drag him here with great difficulty after I talked about all sorts of things. Old Man Han's mouth twitched, and he could only chuckle. Old Deng is right. He turned his face away and began to curse Deputy Director Deng's family in his heart. "Aren't you putting in too much effort to support Wang Ren?" Dean Tong knew that the two of them didn't get along. Seeing the situation, she didn't say anything more. Instead, she turned to look at Wang Ren, who was fiddling with the projection equipment on the podium. Before coming here, he had heard about the student situation from Deputy Dean Deng. He wondered why Wang Ren still had a projector. He couldn't possibly make a PowerPoint presentation to punish a student, right? Was there a need to go through so much trouble? Beneath the stage, Chen Guang looked at Fatty Wang with his eyelids drooping. At this moment, he was feeling a little bored. After all, no matter how high Fatty Wang jumped, as long as Wu Tong came, Chen Guang would immediately turn into a clown. Chen Guang covered his yawn with his hand and thought to himself, "I'm a little sleepy." About 2 minutes later, Wang Ren finally finished fiddling with all the skills. He looked at the three deans below the podium and faintly showed a hint of pride on his face. "Chen Guang, the show I carefully prepared for you is about to begin." With an incomparably comfortable and expectant mood, Wang Ren turned his gaze to the front row where Chen Guang had just sat. He wanted to see Chen Guang's helpless and panicked look. What? This kid fell asleep on the table. He fell asleep just like that. At this moment, only Chen Guang and Zhuo Jingxi were sitting in the first row of the entire conference room. As for the other students, under Chen Guang's deliberate request, they all moved to the back. Therefore, the appearance of Chen Guang sleeping on the table was particularly eye-catching. Zhuo Jingxi was also confused. She was just a little distracted when Dean Tong and Deputy Dean Deng entered the room. How did this kid fall asleep in front of everyone when she turned around? Are you even the slightest bit nervous? Pa! Wang Ren slapped the podium hard. Chen Guang. Chen Guang slowly opened his eyes and looked at Wang Ren. He yawned again and ignored him. Instead, he turned his head to look at Zhuo Jingxi. "Teacher Zhuo, where is he?" He was so angry that he laughed. Zhuo Jingxi thought to herself, "This guy, Chen Guang, is still deliberately angering Wang Ren at a time like this. It hasn't started yet. Stop pretending to be asleep." Zhuo Jingxi pinched Chen Guang's waist fiercely under the table. She seemed to have used too much strength. Chen Guang's expression changed. He was in so much pain that his mouth twitched. He felt bitter in his heart. "My teacher, Zhuo, can you be a little more reserved? We have a pure and healthy teacher-student relationship. You're making it difficult for me to deal with you without saying anything. Also, I really didn't pretend to be asleep. I really fell asleep just now." "Chen Guang," Wang Ren shouted again as he watched the two of them from the podium. His eyes were red with jealousy. Chen Guang turned his head and supported his chin with his right hand. Half of his body was on the table, and his left hand casually waved in front of him. It was very much like how a waiter would move in a restaurant. He yawned again and said, "Teacher Wang, if you have anything to say, hurry up and say it. I'm afraid I'll fall asleep again." "You?" Wang Ren glared at him. His hand was shaking with anger. "This student is a little arrogant and unruly." Dean Tong saw this scene and said softly, "It's normal for a talented student to be a little arrogant. I remember that when you were young, Old Tong, didn't you also like to talk back to our tutor?" Old Han laughed at the side. He and Dean Tong did indeed study under the same tutor when they were young. The two of them had a deep relationship. Deputy Dean Deng snorted. Our Gokyo University nurtures talents, so we need to have both ability and integrity. When Old Tong was young, he was arrogant. That was because he was knowledgeable, so he could argue with the old man. What kind of attitude is this from Chun Guang? He made a mistake. How can he be compared to Old Tong when he was young? All right. Whether he made a mistake or not, we still have to wait for Wang Ren to finish talking before we make a conclusion. Old Deng, don't mention the sarcasm in your words. Dean Tong could hear the tension in the air. He pointed at Deputy Dean Deng and asked him to restrain himself. He didn't want his two deputy deans to quarrel in this situation. On the stage, Wang Ren spent a lot of effort to control his mood. He clicked the mouse hard, and the image on the projector changed. The first picture appeared. It was the post that had been discussed by many people on the school forum. It was a picture of a rich second generation beating up someone and smashing a car. In the picture, Chun Guang was standing in front of a half-destroyed Audi A4L with his arms crossed. He looked very indifferent and expressionless. Wang Ren pointed at Chun Guang in the picture. Everyone see that. This is the violent incident that caused a terrible impact on the school yesterday. Chun Guang, this is you, right? Snore, snore, snore. He fell asleep again. He fell asleep with one hand propped up. Chun Guang, it's me. Go on, I'm listening. Chun Guang raised his eyelids by about 2 millimeters. He didn't even bother to nod his head. He just stretched out his hand and waved to show his attitude. At this moment, Wang Ren wanted to give Chun Guang a slap, but a slap wasn't sufficient to vent the hatred in his heart. Since Chun Guang still has this attitude, then don't blame me for firing you. Do you really think that I only have these few pictures? Ren Yuan signs are so obvious just now. Don't tell me you didn't notice anything. Idiot. Chapter 171. It took about 20 minutes for Wang Ren to tell the whole story of yesterday's beating and smashing of the car. During this period, Dean Tong and Deputy Dean Deng kept frowning. Although Deputy Dean Han appreciated Chun Guang's talent, he also felt a little headache. He even secretly wondered if Chun Guang was really so violent. The other academy leaders and teachers couldn't help but whisper to each other. The students in the engineering class gradually became silent from the initial excitement. Although many people knew the cause and effect of the incident, it was disadvantageous to Chun Guang. Wang Ren didn't frame Qin Haodong at the beginning, but directly showed a slide showing the photos and videos taken by people on the internet, showing the facts and evidence. This matter seemed to be irrefutable. Chun Guang, what do you want to say? Do you admit that it was you who led this group of second-generation rich kids to bully others, beat students in public, and damage their valuable belongings? Wang Ren slammed the table and shouted angrily. He secretly looked forward to it. Here it comes. The first climax of the day is coming. Let's see how you take it. There is nothing to say. This matter has nothing to do with me. I'm just an innocent passerby who happened to be in the camera. That's it. Do you have anything else to say? However, Su Tao never expected that Chun Guang would have the same sleepy expression as he yawned once more. You're lying through your teeth. The evidence is conclusive. How dare you say it has nothing to do with you? Wang Ren shouted angrily. Chun Guang finally took his right hand off his face. He slightly leaned back and twisted his neck. The evidence is conclusive? Did you see me beating people in your photos? Did I? Students, did you see it? Teacher Zhua, did you see it? Dean Tong, did you see me beating people in the photos? Director Wang, which of you saw it? Since Chun Guang dared to speak like this, he had the confidence to do so. At that time, he had acted so suddenly that it was impossible for anyone to have the time to take photos and videos. Perhaps Dong Tao's companions could see the scene of him beating him up on the dash cam, but these people would never dare to testify for Wang Ren, especially after seeing the scene of Zhong Bai and the others smashing the car with their own eyes. Wang Ren's expression changed. He had arranged these photos himself, so of course he knew that there was no footage of Chun Guang hitting someone. But you've been stepping on Dong Tao's hand. Wang Ren flipped through the photo and was overjoyed. He had found something to show off. I'm really sorry. I was so scared at that time that I didn't know it was student Dong Tao. I'll apologize to him later. Chen Guang shrugged and asked again, "Well, you can't say that I hit him, right? What about smashing cars? Did I smash the car?" He really didn't. From the beginning to the end, he didn't move at all. Wang Ren didn't answer, but Chen Guang slammed the table fiercely. "Dean Wang, you're the dean of our school's discipline department. You're in charge of the discipline of the 1 to 2,000 students in our school. Your very careless attitude really disappoints us students. Just because I was standing close to the car, you suspect that I smashed the car, and you're accusing me without any evidence?" In the video, there were quite a few people who were also very close to the car. Why don't you suspect them? Moreover, you say that I'm a bully. Then tell me, who did I bully? Where's the victim? Wang Ren was speechless. He had thought that these photos would be questioned as evidence. After all, they weren't convincing enough, but he didn't expect Chen Guang to fly into a rage in front of everyone. He really didn't feel guilty at all. How could he be so sure that Dong Tao would reject his request and not dare to stand up and accuse him? That was really strange. That Dong Tao was too much of a coward. Was he afraid of those second-generation rich kids? What a joke. This was a school. It wasn't a place for second-generation rich kids to show off. But it didn't matter. This was just an excuse. The main show was yet to come. Dean Tong, you just said that this is a school, not a court, nor a police station. It's a place to teach and educate people. But even if this isn't a court, you still have to pay attention to evidence. You definitely can't be like Dean Wang and frame me out of thin air and make wild guesses about me based on some so-called evidence. I'm a student, yes, but I'm a human first. Wang Ren is violating my human rights and tarnishing my reputation. At this moment, Chen Guang stood up. He was so agitated that he was waving his hands and feet as he spoke loudly. Seeing him like this, Wang Ren didn't panic at all. "I'll let you jump all you want. It's time for me to show my trump card. Kid, I want you to be happy first. Then I'll let you know that regret is useless." Bang! Wang Ren slammed the table again. "You think that's all I have? Ren Yuan, you guys come up here. Tell me everything that happened between Chen Guang and Pan Jiang that day." As soon as he said this, all the other students in the environmental engineering class looked at Ren Yuan and his friends who were sitting awkwardly at the edge of the table. "Ren Yuan, you scumbags. You know that Pan Jiang drugged Xiao's son. Chen Guang hit people to save Xiao's son. You guys know everything. What are you going to do?" Bai Nyangzi and his friends already knew Chen Guang's plan, so they didn't make a sound. They didn't panic at all, but Gaoya couldn't help but slam the table and stand up. Following Gaoya's action, the other girls also stood up and accused Ren Yuan and his friends. Ren Yuan and his friends were embarrassed. They knew that if they did this today, they would be isolated in the environmental engineering class forever. But what could they do? Wang Ren had a handle on them. If they didn't agree to his request, they would be expelled. Gaoya thought that as Chen Guang's best friends, Lin Jingwei and his friends would be more excited than she was. However, when she turned around, she saw Lin Jingwei's 3 grandsons huddled together and playing with their cell phones. Their heads were close to each other, and their eyes were fixed on the cell phones under the table. On the screen was the HD version of The Legend of the Sword and Fairy that had just been remade for the cell phone. Gaoya almost fainted. Her best friend was going to be fired because of a false accusation. "Why are the 3 of you still playing games here?" "Lin Jingwei," Gaoya yelled with hatred. Lin Jingwei, who was instructing Bai Nyangzi to use Li Xiaoyao to activate the ultimate skill of the Liquor Sword Fairy, shivered. Without thinking, he slammed the table with much more strength than Gaoya and stood up abruptly. "That's right. Gaoya is right." He slammed the table so hard that it almost broke. The first victims were Bai Nyangzi and Xiong. Chapter 172. Our ears. "Little Lin, you idiot. You should have told us in advance." Bai Nyangzi covered his ears and fell to the side. Chen Guang, who was dozing off in the front row, was startled awake by Lin Jingwei. He had to give it to Lin Jingwei and secretly scolded Lin Jingwei for being an idiot. If you like Gaoya, then so be it. Why don't you pay more attention to the situation? The rest of the class could not help but laugh. Gaoya's face turned red. Just a moment ago, she was berating Wang Run, but now she was so embarrassed that she did not know where to hide her head. Seeing that the trial against Chen Guang had almost turned into a farce, Wang Ren's face was so ugly that it could drip water. Quiet down. Ren Yuan, hurry up and come up here. Ren Yuan and the rest shivered and looked at the others apologetically. Then they shrunk their necks and walked up to the podium. When they passed by Chen Guang, Ren Yuan seemed to be a little hesitant. He said softly, "I'm sorry, Chen Guang." Chen Guang waved his hand nonchalantly. "It doesn't matter. Just say what you want to say. Don't apologize to me, because I won't forgive you." As expected, Ren Yuan and the rest told the story of the conflict between Pan Jiang and Chen Guang all these years. However, they changed the last part. They only said that when Pan Jiang invited Sun Xiaoxuan for dinner, Chen Guang also had a crush on Sun Xiaoxuan. He was jealous and chased him to the restaurant. Then the two of them got into an argument and got into a fight. In the end, Pan Jiang was injured and sent to the hospital, while Chen Guang was taken away by the police. As for the matter of drugging Pan Jiang, they completely avoided it. Based on what they said, it seemed that because of jealousy, Chen Guang beat up Pan Jiang and caused him to drop out of school. While Ren Yuan and the rest were telling the story of the conflict between Chen Guang and Pan Jiang, Wang Ren stood on the podium and did not say a word. He had become an outsider, as if he was not the one who started the whole thing. It was as if Ren Yuan and the rest could not bear to see Pan Jiang being wronged, so they came to help him. We don't know why Pan Jiang dropped out of school. Since he was sent to the hospital, we haven't been able to contact him. When we called him, he didn't pick up. We don't even know which hospital ward he's staying in. It's as if he disappeared into thin air. Even the news of him dropping out of school was only known after teacher Zhua told us. Ren Yuan didn't say anything else after he said that. Wang Ren coughed again, as if he was hinting at something. Of course, he had requested Ren Yuan to add in some of their so-called words of defending Pan Jiang's injustice, and not like what he was doing now. He was like a lousy announcer, using a tone that sounded like he was reading his lines and talking about something that seemed to have nothing to do with them. Unfortunately, Ren Yuan and the rest were determined not to say anything else. They turned their faces to the side and looked at something in the corner. No one knew what they were thinking. However, their meaningless confession could not be forgiven or understood by their classmates. Ren Yuan, you guys are too much, too disgusting, inverting right and wrong. Do you guys even have a conscience? We thought you guys were not on the same side as Pan Jiang. When teacher Zhua called everyone to eat, we wanted to ask you guys to come. Now we know. No wonder you guys didn't come. You didn't have the face to come. What did Wang Ren give you guys? The boys and girls in the class were so angry that they could not control themselves. Some of the more violent ones even wanted to rush forward and beat up Ren Yuan and the rest. Shut up. Be quiet, all of you. Do you want to fight in front of all of us teachers? Fatty Wang saw that the situation was getting out of control and shouted loudly. Dean Tong also stood up from his seat and said loudly, "Students, please be quiet. The meeting is not over yet. I understand your feelings, but our school has never advocated violence. No matter what reason there is, we do not approve the use of violence as a means to solve problems." Dean Tong's words were indeed effective. Everyone had always been dissatisfied with Wang Ren, but they had always been in awe of the highest leader of the entire school. Wang Ren said again, if it was just Ren Yuan and the rest oral accounts, it might not be convincing enough. But here is a surveillance video provided by Qing Yixian. The evidence is irrefutable. After saying that, Wang Ren fiercely clicked the mouse, and a very clear surveillance video was projected. This surveillance video was not recorded in the private room. It started from the moment Chen Guang entered the room, kicked the door open, and punched and kicked the poor Pan Jiang until Pan Jiang could no longer get up. The entire process was recorded from the surveillance camera in the hall, which just happened to avoid Sun Xiaoxuan, who was unconscious beside the door of the private room. As for the second half of the scene where Sun Xiaoxuan was helped out by Gao Ye and the rest, Wang Ren directly cut out. After the surveillance video was played, Wang Ren sneered at Chen Guang. "Chen Guang, what else do you have to say? You were the one who beat him up, weren't you?" Everyone, look at how cruel his methods were. Even in the boxing ring, he would not use such a method to directly attack someone's lower body. This is a complete disregard for human life. How can this be considered a student? He's a complete thug. The more Wang Ren spoke, the more agitated he became. He slammed the podium heavily and glared at Chen Guang. Chen Guang. Although I don't know why Pan Jiang chose to drop out of school after suffering such a great injustice, I have reason to believe that it was you, Chen Guang, who used coercion to force him to give in. But I have reason to believe that it was you, Chen Guang, who used coercion to force him to give in. Just like how you led those rich young masters to smash other people's cars yesterday. Even if Pan Jiang did not personally accuse you of this, as the Dean of Student Affairs, I will not allow a student like you to continue to stay in our school. Damn, this grandson's acting skills are really good. If I had half of his acting skills, I would be able to become a specialized villain actor in Big Beard Dang's side. This grandson was born to do this. This is talent. I can't even be envious of him. Tilting his head, Chen Guang raised his eyes to look at Wang Ren. He couldn't even be bothered to open his mouth, allowing Wang Ren to do whatever he wanted. In the end, Chen Guang only treated Wang Ren as a clown. At the same time, Chen Guang was calculating the time in his mind. Why is Wu Tong not here yet? Could she be out on a mission? Damn, if that's really the case, then I'm not just a clown from today onwards. To be honest, I'm a little panicky. Nonsense. There's something wrong with the angle of this video. Xiao Sun is just behind the door frame. It's blocked. I have Xiao Sun's medical report here. It's written on black and white paper that there are hallucinogenic drugs in Xiao Sun's body. That's the drug that Pan Jiang drugged Xiao Sun. Chen Guang is trying to save him. He's acting bravely for a just cause. Just then, there was another commotion from the students at the back of the crowd. It turned out that Gaoyu was going crazy again. She stood up abruptly and yelled, holding a report in her hand. Beside her stood another girl who was sweating profusely. Poor girl, she wasn't at the scene. She had quietly gone back to her dorm to get the report. Lin Jingwei was blind and didn't notice her absence at all. Wang Ren seemed to have expected this. He sneered, "Student, as Chen Guang said just now, although this isn't a court, we still need evidence. Even if the medical report in your hand is real, is there any evidence that Pan Jiang drugged Sun Xiaoxuan? I have reason to believe that after Chen Guang hit someone, Sun Xiaoxuan took the drug himself to help him get out of it." Of course, Wang Ren was just talking nonsense. However, as the dean of the discipline department, he prided himself on being well-informed. If the police really determined that Pan Jiang poisoned Sun Xiaoxuan, Wenxing Town Branch would definitely inform the school, and Wang Ren would be the first to know about it. It had been a long time since the incident, but there was no news from Wenxing Town Branch. Before he framed Chen Guang, Wang Ren even took the initiative to inquire about it. Pan Jiang wasn't convicted. Poor Wang Ren. He didn't know that because Pan Jiang's case was related to Pan Dehai's murder case, it became a related case, and the level of confidentiality was raised by several levels. In addition, when Wu Tong was handling this case, she fell for Chen Guang and Emperor of the Azure's plot and released Chen Guang too early. It was barely considered a violation of the rules, but it was reasonable. Wu Tong felt embarrassed after the incident and locked it in her file. Of course, Wang Ren couldn't find out anything. Of course, even if there was an inside story, Wang Ren didn't care because in this school, he had the final say in how a student should be punished. Even if Chen Guang was a good Samaritan, he could still say that Chen Guang had a violent personality and was a potential danger. The school still had the right to punish or expel him, but the effect wouldn't be as good as it was now. Gaoyu slammed the table again and pointed at Wang Ren. "You're just talking. If you say it's bad, then it's bad. If you say it's white, then it's white. We don't accept this. Yeah, we don't accept this. Chen Guang is innocent. You, Fatty Wang, are deliberately framing him. You can't stand the fact that Chen Guang ruined your stupid idea." Looking at these people making a ruckus, Wang Ren didn't care at all. He only sneered in his heart. Isn't that the case? In this school, if I want someone to be black, then they'll be white. All right, now that the witness and material evidence are here, I won't say anything about the court's verdict. Today's incident is all because of the student in your class. In view of Chen Guang's actions and his unrepentant attitude today, I think the school should expel him. Our school doesn't need this kind of violent student. We don't want to nurture him either. As Wang Ren spoke, he grabbed a thick stack of materials out of nowhere and slammed it on the table, full of vigor. He couldn't hide the smugness in his heart and secretly let out a long sigh of relief. He had finally said the most important sentence. Wang Ren then looked at the three deans' current expressions. Old Man Han seemed to be a little helpless, his brows tightly furrowed. Deputy Dean Deng exchanged a glance with him and revealed an understanding expression. Dean Tong, on the other hand, squinted her eyes as if she was thinking about something. Wang Ren grinned. "Chen Guang, you're finished." Chapter 173. I believe that Director Wang's statement is clear enough. Chen Guang's actions have indeed brought about an extremely negative impact on the school and the academy. Vice Dean Deng exchanged glances with Wang Ren, then stood up and continued, "I agree with Director Wang's decision. Dean Tong, you're the leader. You should also make a statement." Old Han turned his face to the side in pain. After listening for so long, of course he could tell that there was something fishy about this matter. However, Wang Ren had also prepared a lot of concrete evidence. Now that things had come to this, there was nothing he could do. Dean Tong showed a slightly helpless expression when she was suddenly called by Vice Dean Deng. She slowly stood up and pondered for a moment, then said, "Students, please calm down. I hope that everyone can face this matter correctly. I also feel sorry for student Chen Guang, but the school has its rules. Since he made a mistake, he naturally has to bear the corresponding consequences. I hope that you can learn from this lesson in the future. Being expelled from the school isn't the end of the world. You're still young and have a long way to go." Sigh. In short, I agree with Director Wang's decision. Dean Tong said a lot, but only the last sentence was useful. Zhuo Jingxi held her forehead in despair. She really didn't expect things to turn out like this. From the moment Ren Yuan and the others cooperated with Wang Ren to make false statements, this matter was especially disadvantageous to Chen Guang. Moreover, Wang Ren had prepared a video and had Vice Dean Deng pull Dean Tong over. Zhuo Jingxi couldn't help but look at Chen Guang worriedly. She was really afraid that Chen Guang wouldn't be able to control his temper and would hit Wang Ren in public. "What on earth are you thinking at this time? Don't go to extremes." Zhuo Jingxi looked at Chen Guang's expressionless side profile worriedly. She couldn't help but put her hand on his thigh and pinched it a little, trying to comfort him. However, this pinch made Zhuo Jingxi's hand stiffen. She felt as if she was pinching an extremely hard piece of metal instead of a human muscle. "Oh my God, why is he so strong?" Zhuo Jingxi's hand trembled. She wanted to take it back, but she held it in. "Forget it, let it be. His muscles are so tense. He must be unable to control his anger, right? Chen Guang, you must calm down. Teacher Zhuo supports you. No matter what happens, you will always be teacher Zhuo's good student. If you really want to leave here, I won't have the face to continue staying in this school by myself." So what was Chen Guang thinking at this time? Big sister Wu Tong, come and save me. Damn it, damn it, damn it. The little Good Samaritan hero was going to be framed and fired. The morals of the world were deteriorating day by day, and the hearts of the people were no longer what they used to be. If this continued, the country would no longer be a country. "Wait, Teacher Zhuo, at such an important time, your hand is a bit impolite." Holy shit. She reached out her hand. What was she trying to do? Teasing me? At this time? Oh my. So exciting. I'm so nervous. What if someone saw it? I was so nervous that I was stiff. Could it be that Teacher Zhuo thought that I was definitely going to be expelled and felt that she had implicated me? So she wanted to repay me with her body and comfort me? That was doable. Oh my God. She actually pinched my thigh. Itchy num num was too exciting. I thought of the Japanese movies that I had hidden away. Hot teacher. Honeyed public teasing. Mysterious code QD 368-2207. I'm going to get on the car. Goodbye, students. I can't. I never thought that Teacher Joie was actually this kind of person. I really admire you too much. But now is not the time. This is in public. Please don't be like this. I'm a decent person. If there's anything, let's talk in private in the hotel. Wait. Don't wait. Who is that? Sun Xiaoxuan. At this time, the conference room door was suddenly pushed open. Sun Xiaoxuan was standing at the door, sweating profusely and gasping for breath. Chen Guang was overjoyed and his eyes lit up. You're finally back. Thank God. This is the most important time. Teacher Joie, why did you take your hand back? Forget it. Don't worry about the details. There are more important things right now. My big move has been gathering power for so long. I can finally release it. Take my strongest secret technique, pretentious baby, summoning technique, Fatty Wong. It's going to be thick. My pretentious baby. Officer Wu is still in the city. He can't come. Sun Xiaoxuan spoke again. Heavens. Earth. My heart. It hurts. My heart hurts. You're messing with me. But there's a leader here who said he's also in the public security system, a colleague of Officer Wu, and can represent the armed police officer to deal with this matter. He will definitely clear your name. Sun Xiaoxuan spoke again. Chen Guang didn't want to talk to her anymore. His poor little heart was repeatedly injured. He needed a nanny to heal it. But just as she finished speaking, a middle-aged man appeared behind her, smiling faintly at the crowd in the conference room. Chen Guang's pupils shrank. Oh my, this gentleman looks very familiar. Wu Shan. That's right. Isn't this the Wu Shan who often appears on TV? The one I used to forcefully establish a relationship with Wu Tong and scare Panjiang? F***CK. It's actually him. Could it be? I really hit the jackpot. I was walking on a road, singing, and casually recognized a cheap god sister who turned out to be a legitimate second-generation official. I feel like my magic power is too strong. I just wanted to summon Wu Tong's pretentious baby, but I actually summoned the big boss behind her father. My heart is so tired, Sister Xiaoxuan. Can you not speak with such heavy breaths? The ups and downs of life came too fast and too violent. Chen Guang planned to go back and buy a caddy of instant heart reliever pills, carrying it on his back to save his life at any time. I almost gave you congenital heart disease. Of course, the most surprised person wasn't Chen Guang, but Dean Tong. Chen Guang only knew that Wu Shan was an official, but he didn't know how important this official was. As the dean of Gokyo University, a comprehensive school with an extremely high administrative level, Dean Tong knew a lot of inside secrets. Not only was Wu Shan's official position very high, but he was also very young. It was hard to imagine to what extent he would continue to rise to in the future. Only those who were slightly in touch with that kind of level could understand the real power that Wu Shan represented. It was enough to make the entire political circle in Sichuan province look up to him in awe. But today, because of this trivial matter in a mere school of Gokyo University, it actually attracted this big shot who had the opportunity to aspire to become the central authority in the future. How terrifying. Just now, that girl said that he would definitely clear Chen Guang's name? Oh my God. Could it be that he is Chen Guang backing him up? Chapter 174. Dean Tong even felt his legs turn to jelly. He didn't think he had done anything wrong, but when he first saw Wu Shan, he thought of the enormous power behind him. This was the subconscious fear and admiration of the insignificant among those in power when facing the real power. He stood up from his chair, so nervous that he didn't know where to put his hands. Obviously, among the people present, only Chen Guang, who happened to see Wu Shan on TV, Dean Tong recognized Wu Shan's real identity, and he knew more than Chen Guang. Wu Shan wore an indifferent smile on his face. He didn't reveal his real identity to Sun Xiaoxuan, only saying that he was Wu Tong's colleague. As soon as he saw Dean Tong's expression, he knew that he had been recognized. Having been in the political world for so long, he had a natural super memory for people's faces. Vaguely, the scene of a chance meeting with Dean Tong appeared in his mind. So he smiled at Dean Tong meaningfully and at the same time gently pressed his right hand down. Dean Tong understood tacitly and sat down quietly. Her heart was thumping wildly. Then, she turned to look at Wang Run, who was standing on the podium at a loss. She cursed in her heart. Wang Run, you're in big trouble this time. You're really in big trouble. In fact, Wu Shan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. About an hour ago, he never dreamed that he would come to Gokyo University to deal with such an insignificant matter. However, as soon as he thought of his daughter's rare, pleading tone on the phone, Wu Shan's mind became active. He wanted to see what kind of young man could make his stone-hearted daughter worry about him so much. Wu Tong's abnormal behavior at the Wunxing Town Branch Bureau that day, as well as her encounter with Chen Guang in the city, and how she told Wang Long and other colleagues to leave first, while she stayed to chat with Chen Guang in the middle of the night, were all secretly spread to Wu Shan's ears. Who are you? Get out. You're not even wearing a police uniform. How dare you pretend to be a police officer? Public security system? I think you're a liar's system. Just as Dean Tong sat down on the chair, Wang Run, who was on the podium, slammed the table and said fiercely to Wu Shan, who was about to enter the door. Wu Shan was stunned for a few seconds. It had been 20 years since someone of his status had spoken to him in such a tone. He was also caught off guard. Dean Tong, on the other hand, looked as if her buttocks were on fire. She stood up straight again with trembling hands and a face full of terror. She looked at Wang Run as if she had seen a ghost. 10,000 alpacas whizzed through his mind. Oh, my seventh granduncle, can you let this idiot Wang Ren be struck to death by a bolt of lightning from the heavens? On the other hand, Chen Guang covered his mouth and hid his face under the table. Holy shit. Wang Run, just because of your domineering attitude, even if I hate you so much that I want to strangle you to death, I still have to call you brother. I have only one word to express my appreciation for your courage and dominance. Do you see the palm-sized word convinced on my face? I can't hold it in any longer, unknowingly or intentionally. Chen Guang tilted his head in Zhuo Jingxi's direction. He swung his head down and laid on Zhuo Jingxi's thigh. Zhuo Jingxi had no idea what had happened. Her attention was also attracted by Wu Shan at the door, but she only caught a glimpse of him. She thought that Sun Xiaoxuan might have really called the police, but it might not be able to change Chen Guang's fate today. After that, Wang Run unleashed her might once more, but Chen Guang had pounced on her thighs and buried his head in it. His shoulders were constantly shaking like an electric motor. Zhuo Jingxi thought that he had broken down and cried bitterly because of Deputy Dean Deng and Dean Tong's final stance. She sighed in her heart, and a touch of sadness and pity welled up in her heart. It's all my fault. I've implicated you and made you suffer. Zhuo Jingxi gently placed her hand on Chen Guang's back and patted it gently. She said softly, "Don't be too sad. Everything will get better. If this place doesn't want me, there will be a place for me." Chen Guang was in too much pain from holding it in, and Zhuo Jingxi's misunderstanding deepened his pain. He really couldn't hold it in anymore. Since he was already lying in this position, he simply patted Zhuo Jingxi's thigh again. He moved his nose closer and smiled painfully. His nose twitched as he sniffed the faint fragrance on Zhuo Jingxi's body. He didn't know where it came from. On the other side, Wu Shan quickly calmed down after a short moment of confusion. He couldn't be suppressed by a mere fatty Wang. Wang Ren, you shut up. Apologize to Officer Wu. Wu Shan didn't even need to speak. It was Dean Tong who showed his power first. He was also a smart person and knew that Wu Shan didn't want to reveal his identity. So he simply addressed him as Officer Wu. Wang Ren was stunned and looked at Dean Tong in a daze. He didn't know if the Academy's #1 had taken the wrong medicine or what. Dean Tong had already squeezed Deputy Dean Ding away with lightning speed and rushed out. She made her way to Wang Run and raised her hand to slap Wang Ren's head again. Didn't you hear what I said? Dean Tong, you, what? What happened to me? Wang Ren was still a little confused. On this side, Wu Shan had already walked up with that indifferent smile on his face. He lightly patted the agitated Dean Tong's shoulder from behind. Dean Tong hurriedly turned around, but Wu Shan smiled at him and said, "As a public official, it is indeed my work mistake to forget to bring my identification when I go out for work. I will definitely pay attention next time. But since I'm already here, I also brought some documents with me. They all have the stamp of Wunxing Town Branch, so They should be able to prove my identity. Dean Tong seemed to want to say something, but Wu Shan had already turned his head to Wang Run, who was at the side of the podium, and took a step forward to the main podium. Seeing that he really didn't want to reveal his identity, Dean Tong also knew that his overreaction would arouse suspicion. He hurriedly turned around and glared at Wang Ren. "Get out of the way. Let Officer Wu speak." Of course, Wang Ren didn't want to give up his position just like that. This officer Wu was brought by the girl named Sun Xiaoxuan. He didn't even need to think to know that she was definitely here to support Chen Guang. There was no reason. Didn't Wenqing Town Branch not confirm that Pan Jiang committed poisoning? Then his method of backing him up would not be able to hold his ground. But he had no choice but to give up. Although he was reluctant, he still stood to the side with a livid face. He thought to himself, "I'll see what tricks you can come up with." At this time, Sun Xiaoxuan had already sat down next to Chen Guang. Seeing that he was still lying on Zhua Jingxi's lap, she quickly patted his back. "Chen Guang, hurry up and get up. Officer Wu is about to say something." Chen Guang didn't dare to let Zhua Jingxi find out that he was laughing like a maniac while taking advantage of her at the same time. He touched his face. Wow. I laughed so hard that tears came out. Look, even without acting skills, as long as you have luck, you can still be a movie king. Forcing his face to be serious, Chen Guang slowly sat up straight. Zhua Jingxi's face was slightly red after being toyed with by Chen Guang for so long. She didn't dare to look at him for too long. She only glanced at him from the side, then turned her head back to Wu Shan, who was on the podium. She pretended to ask, "Is this Officer Wu from Wenqing Town? He doesn't look like an ordinary police officer." At the same time, her heart tightened. She saw Chen Guang's tears, and it was like a knife cutting in her heart. Chen Guang is still a child after all, but he has to bear this kind of pressure. In order not to worry me, he has to keep a straight face and make himself look stronger. In order to help me this time, he was framed by Wang Run. I owe him too much, Sai. Chen Guang, what's wrong? Sun Xiaoxuan, who was on the other side, was also shocked by Chen Guang's tears. It's okay. Although I don't know the armed police officer, the people in Wenqing police station seem to respect him. He will definitely uphold justice for you. Sun Xiaoxuan grabbed Chen Guang's shoulder from the side and used force to clamp his left hand between the girl's voluptuous breasts. You have to be strong. It's so painful to hold it in. I can't laugh out loud. It's so uncomfortable. I feel like I'm going to die. Chen Guang covered his mouth. Woo. Thank God. On the podium, Wu Shan finally got down to business, immediately attracting everyone's attention. Chen Guang was no exception, and it took him a lot of effort to control his emotions. He also wanted to know how Wu Tong's father would support him. Teachers and students of Gokyo University, hello. I'm here on behalf of Wenqing Police Station to help Chen Guang clarify some misunderstandings, so that the school and students won't have any misunderstandings about him. So, first, I have something here to give to Chen Guang on behalf of the police station. After saying this, Wu Shan's face actually showed a touch of awkwardness. His movements were even a little hesitant, but the bystanders couldn't see it. He only paused for a little bit, then quickly pulled out a large handbag from behind him, grabbed something from it, and shook it with force. Looking at this thing, Chen Guang's mouth opened wide. Damn, this pretentious baby's professionalism is so high that it makes people's hair stand on end. What am I seeing? Am I seeing things? It's actually a banner. Chapter 175. Staring blankly at the huge banner, Chen Guang realized that it was actually embroidered with gold thread from right to left. Gift, Student Chen Guang. Courageous, act virtuous character Wenqing Branch Bureau. Chen Guang's eyes widened. He thought to himself, I'll give you 99 points for this prop. A full score of 100. I'm afraid you'll get arrogant if I give you 1 point less. I'm really impressed. It hasn't even been half an hour since I sent Sun Xiaoxuan to inform the people, and you've already prepared a banner for me. It looks so classy. This efficiency, this thought. You're indeed the big boss in the world of pretentious props. How'd you do it? It's actually embroidered and not painted. In fact, Wu Shan was also quite embarrassed, but he didn't show it on his face. He smiled and said, some people might be confused. Why did I give this banner to student Chen Guang? I have to start from a previous case. Then, Wu Shan talked about Pan Zhang's attempted rape case from beginning to end. Of course, he avoided Pan Dehai's subsequent case. While talking about these things, Wu Shan also showed the case closure notice, Pan Zhang's confession, and other documents. Every document was stamped with a red seal. Pan Zhang's handprint was clearly stamped on Pan Zhang's confession. In fact, Wu Shan was also very embarrassed. He was speechless towards his daughter. The size of the slap was just a small matter. This brat had acted bravely for a just cause, but he had also beaten up the criminal suspect so ruthlessly. It was already good enough that he was not sentenced to excessive self-defense. Yet, she had actually secretly made a silk banner and planned to secretly give it to this brat. What was going on in that little head of yours? Moreover, since when did the police give a banner to someone else? Wasn't it always others who gave it to the police? Even if someone did act courageously, it should be the victim who gave it to the hero. Why did the police come to scare him? Fortunately, you weren't completely stupid. At least the person who gave the banner was smart. He only wrote Wenxing Branch Bureau ambiguously and didn't really mark the full name of the police station. If he were to embarrass himself in the future, he could argue that it was Cheng Wenxing Town's Health Bureau or Education Bureau. Although Wu Shan felt awkward, he still managed to speak in a clear and coherent manner. During this period, Wang Run tried to interrupt him several times, but he was stopped by Dean Tong's fierce glare. The more Wang Run heard, the worse he felt things were. But now that it had come to this, he seemed to be powerless to stop it. No matter how much unwillingness and resentment he felt in his heart, it was useless. Wang Run, who was sitting next to Deputy Dean Deng, clenched his fists tightly. Every word that Wu Shan said and every document that he listed was destroying everything that he had painstakingly arranged today. He really couldn't figure out what went wrong. He had already asked his acquaintances from the Wenxing branch for information. But why did it end up like this? That acquaintance had known him for many years. There was no need for him to lie to her about such a small matter. But these red-headed and black-letter documents, those exquisitely crafted silk banners sewn with golden thread, and Pan Zhang's personal thumbprint of his confession. What the hell were these? Are you kidding me? What's in it for you to make fun of me? I want to expel Chen Guang, but you actually gave him silk banners. Xiao Wang, don't be impulsive. Now that it has come to this, let's just forget about today's matter. There's still a long way to go. He's just a student. As long as he stays here, won't you have plenty of opportunities to deal with him in the future? Deputy Dean Deng patted Wang Ren's shoulder and whispered in his ear. Although after saying this, Deputy Dean Deng's eyes briefly flashed with disdain, he immediately hid it. After Wu Shan finished speaking, he directly walked off the podium. He didn't do anything else and just handed the silk banners to Chen Guang. Chen Guang stood up and squeezed out a happy and excited expression. He took the silk banners with both hands and thought to himself, although I've been a good person for almost half of my life, this is the first time I've given someone a silk banners. Although he felt that the silk banners didn't come from a legitimate source, he still felt pretty good. No wonder there are so many people in this world who like to be a good person. In fact, everyone wants to be praised. Not bad, young man. If this world could have a few more young men like you, it would be a better place. Wu Shan laughed and praised Chen Guang. As he spoke, he looked him up and down. Huh, this uncle's eyes have a lot of meaning. Damn, could it be that someone in Wenxing Town gossiped to him and said that Wu Tong and I had an affair? From Wu Tong's point of view, there might be some signs, but from my position, I don't have any such thoughts. Uncle, don't be like this. Your line of work is very particular about matching social status. Please don't fall for me. Thank you, Officer Wu. Thank you. I will definitely strive to be a good citizen and live up to this silk banners. The guilty Chen Guang avoided Wu Shan's piercing gaze and nodded repeatedly. Fortunately, Wu Shan shook his hand again and left with a smile. He didn't stay any longer and didn't try to find out the relationship between him and Wu Tong. Watching Wu Shan's hurried back, Chen Guang let out a long sigh of relief. I passed. Huh, what am I afraid of? Wu Tong and I are obviously very pure. Chen Guang, that was great. I knew it would be okay. You're innocent. Sun Xiaoxuan finally couldn't hold back his excitement. He stood up from his chair and shook Chen Guang's shoulders with both hands. Chen Guang laughed as he pinched the words on the silk banners. Damn, it really was sewn on. Miraculous skill. Terrifying miraculous skill. In less than half an hour. This is too unscientific. The other students in environmental sciences class were also excited. Only Ren Yuan and his friends who were sitting in the corner had extremely ugly expressions. At this moment, Ren Yuan and his friends couldn't tell whether they were relieved or regretful. After all, Chen Guang couldn't be expelled, and he would even be commended for this. But how could they continue to stay in this class? Was he trying to argue that they really didn't know anything? Would others believe it? Zhuo Jingxi was still sitting in her chair, watching Sun Xiaoxuan jumping and shouting with Chen Guang in his hand. She smiled, but she thought in her heart that she actually envied Sun Xiaoxuan, who was his classmate and could be so presumptuous to him in public. My God, Zhuo Jingxi, what are you thinking? Chen Guang is your student. Wang Ren, you can leave later. Just when everyone was celebrating, Dean Tong's voice suddenly sounded from the front, and it carried a fury that was difficult to suppress. Everyone turned their eyes to the door and saw Wang Ren standing there with a livid face. It seemed that he was about to lose control of his emotions. Dean Tong, I'm not feeling well. Next, it should be the time to commend Chen Guang for his bravery, right? Dean Tong, Deputy Dean Deng, and Deputy Dean Han are here. Can I ask for leave and go back to rest? Unexpectedly, Dean Tong said, No, you, Wang Ren, owe Chen Guang an explanation for this. Chapter 176. Wang Ren's face suddenly collapsed. Chen Guang also looked at Wang Ren and smiled proudly. Fatty Wang, you also have this day. Do you think you can beat me just because you're the head of the discipline department? The world is big, but the truth is the most important. I was originally acting bravely for a just cause, but your ability to distort black and white was revealed under the Wushan Elder's demon revealing mirror. Do you see my dazzling bright red banner? Chen Guang intentionally or unintentionally shook the banner in his hand. He then looked at Wang Ren's enraged expression and felt extremely proud. In fact, with Wang Ren's temperament, he shouldn't be so impatient. However, today's matter was too big of a blow to him. Everything that he had meticulously planned was easily resolved by Chen Guang's casual help. Not only that, but this brat Chen Guang also took advantage of him. Dean Tong, what do you mean by this? Don't tell me you want to find trouble with me over this trivial matter? Even if you're the head of this school, I, Wang Ren, am not afraid of you. Dean Wang, you should apologize to me. Although you're a teacher and I'm a student, I can't be wrong for no reason, right? You didn't even investigate this matter clearly. You took my words out of context and arbitrarily wanted to expel me, and you even made this public trial. You're ruining my life. You're so heartless. No matter what happens today, this will leave a big shadow in my young heart. I just ruined your plan to make things difficult for Teacher Zhuo. Is it worth it to treat me like this? Teacher Zhuo just rejected your unspoken request, and you want to make things difficult for him? Are you trying to say that our big Jianwan Academy has become your elder Wang Ren's harem? Now that you saw that things didn't work out, you want to just pat your butt and leave? We don't agree. Chen Guang's words were shocking. Although many people in the class wanted to say this, including Zhuo Jingxi herself, no one thought that he would dare to tear this matter apart in public. Chen Guang, don't slander me. Be careful, or I'll sue you for slander. Wang Ren was furious. Shrugging his shoulders, Chen Guang replied, I'm really scared. What? You're the only one who can frame me, but I can't give you some groundless guesses? Forgive me for speaking like a child. I'm still a student after all. But you look so angry. Could it be that you really have a guilty conscience? Although Chen Guang usually didn't use his venomous tongue, and didn't seem to be very good at it, Wang Ren had already made him extremely annoyed and disgusted. Towards such a despicable person, Chen Guang, of course, had to ridicule him to the end. At the same time, he would also let Bai Nyangzi, that shameless mouth, see that he had real skills. In the past, he was just giving in to him. Otherwise, he would have scolded him to the sky. Don't underestimate him just because he had a sharp tongue, but Chen Guang felt great that he could ridicule Wang Ren in public. Sure enough, Wang Ren was so angry that he slammed his fist on the door of the conference room. Panting heavily, he glared at Chen Guang as if he wanted to eat him alive. Yo, you're a teacher. You don't need to apologize for your mistake. And you're still here, slamming the table and slamming the door? Why? Do you want to fight? Chen Guang continued. F***CK. This guy is trying to pick a fight. Don't tell me he really wants to fight with Wang Ren here? Bai Nyangzi, who had been hiding in the crowd, couldn't help but ridicule. Lin Jingwei grabbed Xiong Er, who was about to rush forward. Don't worry, Fatty Wang won't dare to fight. There are so many people watching. Moreover, if he really fights, I can guarantee that he won't last more than 10 seconds under Brother Guang's hands. Bai Nyangzi asked curiously, how do you know? Ren Yuan and the rest told me that Brother Guang is really good at fighting now. Moreover, he's been fooling around with Miss Wenwen for 3 years, and he's still alive and kicking. Is this something an ordinary person can do? Lin Jingwei hit the nail on the head. Xiong Er and Bai Nyangzi nodded their heads vigorously. That's reasonable and well-founded. I'm very convinced. On the other side, Wang Ren was being provoked by Chen Guang's words and stared at him with a sinister gaze. He actually calmed down in an instant. He could tell that Chen Guang was trying to pick a fight. Dean Tong also appeared in time and stood between the two of them as a peacemaker. However, it seemed impossible to make Wang Ren apologize in public. But at this moment, Chen Guang slammed the table again and turned around to glare at Ren Yuan and the rest. I've recorded all the words you guys said to slander me. I don't care if Fatty Wang apologizes or not, but I won't let the few of you off for framing me with false evidence. Don't be in a hurry to explain. If you have anything to say, save it for the court. The whole class was in an uproar. No one expected Chen Guang to target Ren Yuan and the rest, and even direct it to the court. What was he trying to do? Sue Ren Yuan and the rest over such a small matter? Logically speaking, it wasn't impossible. If slander and rumors could be sued, then this kind of publicly framing was even more so. No, Chen Guang, we didn't do it on purpose. I've already apologized to you. Ren Yuan and the rest stood up abruptly. Chen Guang rolled his eyes. If an apology works, let me change my line. I didn't accept your apology. Wang Ren forced us. He has something on the 4 of us. He said that if we didn't agree to his demands, he would find an excuse to fire us. Of course, we know that Pan Jiang drugged Sun Xiaoxuan. We knew from the beginning. He showed off to us before he did it. Even the private room in Qin Yuxian was booked by me. Ren Yuan finally said this. Fatty Wang, you're the head of student affairs. You've done a good job, twisting the truth and using your power to coerce a student into giving false evidence to frame another student. I've already recorded everything that happened in this meeting room with my phone. I'll send it online and see how you explain it. Let's see how the netizens view such an interesting matter. As Chen Guang spoke, he wanted to pretend to reach for his phone. His pocket was empty. How could he fail to bluff others? Damn, my Heavenly States Popcorn 4S. I've recorded it. I've been recording it since the end of class. Lin Jingwei, who was at the back of the classroom, raised his hand up high. In his palm was an expensive new DV. He was indeed the considerate and reliable Lin Pingji. Oh no, little Lin. Chen Guang gave him a thumbs up. Wang Ren, it's a shame for the school to have an administrative staff like you. Dean Tong, this matter is too vile and must be dealt with strictly. Otherwise, how are we going to convince the public and manage the school in the future? Old Han finally found a chance to rise up. As he said this, he intentionally leaned towards Wang Ren's backer in the school, Deputy Dean Deng. Deputy Dean Deng painfully turned his face to the side and didn't know what to say. He didn't dare to follow others and step on Wang Ren's head. He also didn't dare to go against the truth and everyone's anger to protect Wang Ren. He only had a headache. Wang Ren might really go overboard this time. As expected, after a slight hesitation, Dean Tong walked up to the podium. First, she used the blackboard brush to slam the table heavily to make everyone quiet down. Then, she turned to look at Wang Ren, who was standing at the door with a blank expression and suppressed anger. She said, "Today's matter has become like this. As the dean, I have some responsibility too. It's my negligence that allowed Wang Run, this black sheep, to mix around in the school. Luckily, it's not too late to mend the pen after the sheep are lost. In view of Wang Ren's serious violation of the rules, I hereby announce that from now on, Wang Ren will be suspended from all his duties in the school and report this matter to the higher-ups." Chapter 177. As Dean Tong announced the decision, Wang Ren's body went cold, and his right hand couldn't stop shaking. He knew there was no turning back. "Fatty Wang, go back and play with your balls." Xiong Jinka was the first to scold. The others naturally didn't want to be left behind. They had hated Wang Ren for so many years, and now they finally had the chance to scold him in front of him. How could they not be happy? Dean Tong coughed again. "Students, don't be like this." Wang Ren still didn't leave. He just stood at the door and looked at Chun Guang fiercely. He thought to himself, "I won't let this matter go like this. Absolutely not." Chun Guang could guess what he was thinking from the look in his eyes. He rolled up the pennant and carried it on his shoulder like a knife. He moved out his seat and walked to Wang Ren. He said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "It's not a good feeling to shoot yourself in the foot, right? Don't look at me like that. I'm not afraid you'll eat me up. I also want to tell you that this matter won't end like this." "Chun Guang, how's it going?" At this moment, a tall and strong figure walked quickly from the corridor. It was Wu Tong in her police uniform. She finally rushed back. Chun Guang raised his eyebrows at Wu Tong. "Big sis, you're finally here. The show is about to end, but it's good that you can at least listen to the ending song. Come, let me introduce you. This is our discipline director. Oh no, the former discipline director, Wang Ren. He has already been kicked out of our school. That's enough. Let people go wherever possible. Don't be like this." When Wu Tong came to Chun Guang's side, she gave him a slap and pushed him into the conference room. After watching Wang Ren leave, Wu Tong continued, "Why did you offend him? Is there a need for that? Aren't you afraid that he'll remember you?" Chun Guang chuckled. "Sister Wu Tong, wait till I tell you about his legend. I dare to guarantee that you will swallow your words of let people off when possible." Wu Tong frowned. "What's going on? I'll tell you about it later. I'll go back and enjoy the hero treatment first." "All right, what's with this silk banner? Is Wu Shan really your father? He came to support me and even prepared this prop. He's so loyal." Chun Guang and Wu Tong laughed and returned to the conference room. Wu Tong didn't follow them in. Instead, she hid outside with a red face. How embarrassing. If he knew the origin of this silk banner, he would definitely laugh at me to death, right? No, of course I couldn't let him know that I had actually prepared this banner long ago. What was I thinking at that time? I just wanted to find an excuse to meet this kid. So I made this silk banner and gave it to him in the name of the branch? Am I stupid or crazy? All right, that damn Tang Ing can't be relied on anymore. I'd better find a professional psychiatrist later. Old Tong, you're being too impulsive by suspending Wang Run. Aren't you worried about that person? Deputy Dean Deng found an opportunity to get close to Dean Tong and whispered. He even pointed to the ceiling as he spoke. Dean Tong looked at Deputy Dean Deng with extreme disgust. "You and I are well aware of Wang Ren's past actions in the academy. It's just that we haven't found any concrete evidence against him. With that person and you, the deputy dean, backing him up, he's been living a carefree life. I thought that he would restrain himself after that incident, but now he's plotting against Xiao Zhua. Why? Dean Deng, do you still want to continue protecting Wang Ren and turn our academy into one of his palaces and 6 courtyards? If it weren't for the fact that I don't have that authority, and you're also a veteran of our academy, I would have suspended you as well." Deputy Dean Deng's face stiffened. He didn't expect Dean Tong to be so impolite. From what he said, it seemed like he wanted to shed all pretense of cordiality with Wang Ren's protective uncle. Where did you get your courage and confidence from? What's wrong with this world? Have you really made up your mind? Deputy Dean Deng asked again, unwilling to give up. Dean Tong had already turned her face away. She couldn't be bothered to look at him, but her heart was filled with disdain. Of course I know that expelling Wang Ren will offend someone. But no matter how influential Wang Ren's uncle is, can he be more influential than Wu Shan? You're a frog at the bottom of a well. I'm waiting to see you drown. I hope that when you go back, you'll watch the provincial news programs. Pay more attention to the actual situation. Otherwise, would you still be here wasting your saliva on me? After causing a commotion in the conference room, Chen Guang gave out the commendation and comforted Zhuo Jingxi. He even had to deal with the White Snake's third grandson, who was trying to ruin his plans. After that, Chen Guang was finally freed and ran out with Wu Tong, who was waiting for him outside. Sitting on a chair by the lake, Chen Guang told Wu Tong about Wang Ren's legend, especially the female student who died last year. This time, Wu Tong was enraged. She immediately jumped up from her chair and rushed towards the direction of the school building, shouting, "That Wang Ren is actually this kind of scum. Scum! Damn it! I'll go catch him. I can't let this kind of person go." She was swearing. "Go, I support you. Catch him, then torture him. Beat him half to death. I guarantee you'll have the goods," Chen Guang said faintly as he sat on the chair. Wu Tong turned around. "Aren't you going to stop me?" Chen Guang spat. "Why would I stop you? I can't wait for you to catch him." Wu Tong sat back down and sighed. "There's no evidence. I can't catch him." "Yo, you still remember your catchphrase? You're so capable and arrogant. Why don't you go to heaven?" Chen Guang had a rare opportunity to tease her. He couldn't be soft-spoken. Wu Tong spat at him. "I worked so hard to help you. Is this how you treat your benefactor?" Chen Guang chuckled. "That's a different matter. You're a police officer. You can't be so impulsive. Sooner or later, something will happen." "You're worried about me?" Wu Tong asked. Chen Guang nodded. "Yeah, it wasn't easy for me to find such a powerful backer. If something really happens to you, I'll be in heaven. Who's going to look after me in the future? Go to hell." Wu Tong pushed his shoulder and said, "I'm not joking with you anymore. I'll remember what happened to Wang Ren. After I finish the case at hand, I'll try to investigate it and try to find something substantial. If he's really the kind of person you said he is, his background isn't that clean. There's no such thing as an impenetrable wall. The only reason criminals can get away with it is because an excellent detective like me doesn't keep an eye on them." "You're right. I'm speechless." Chen Guang shocked Wu Tong's confidence. "How shameless was that? Other than being able to fight on par with me, is there anything else you're good at? Oh, right. You even knocked him unconscious with his nunchaku. You shouldn't have hit him. Oomph. Evil has its retribution. It's not time yet. Let him jump around for a while. I'll find out his background." Wu Tong said again. Damn, she didn't hear the sarcasm in my words. Her face was as thick as the old man's. "Okay, but if you can't find out his background and he comes to find trouble with me, I'll crush his bones inch by inch." Chen Guang said, "When are you going to change your bad habit of lynching people? You're making things difficult for me as your sister. Anyway, I have the support of the policewoman Hua. What's there to be afraid of? F***CK off. I still have things to do at the station, so I'll go back first. You pay attention. Don't let this damn fatty get into trouble before he falls. Come out and have coffee with me some other day." Stepping on Chen Guang's leg, Wu Tong took the opportunity when Chen Guang was hugging his leg in pain to run away. She was as happy as a sparrow. Chapter 178. When Wu Tong walked out of Wujing University and climbed into her Wrangler, Wu Shan, who had been sitting in the passenger seat, suddenly turned his head and said, "That young man of yours should have recognized me. This young man is quite concerned about politics." Wu Tong rolled her eyes. "He usually runs the internet to earn money. It's the same as a taxi driver. Of course, he knows a lot about current politics. Otherwise, who knows when he'll give you all a slap on the head and say that he's breaking the law again. Seize his car." Wu Shan stared at her. "I helped you so much today, and this is how you thank me. This father and daughter pair are really alike. Even the way they ask for favors is the same. I was wrong. Thank you," Wu Tong said as she started the car. "My great dad, you have been here for almost the whole morning. I was afraid that you would have a lot of work to do. I'm just a basic police officer. I'm not as free as you, so I won't accompany you. When we get back to the station, you can go back to the city by yourself. I have to go on patrol. I came here to look for you, but you used patrolling as an excuse to hide far away. That Chen Guang called, and you asked me to support him. Now that it's done, you want to chase me away? Isn't it too heartless to burn the bridge after crossing the river? I'm your father. Wu Shan was depressed. You're not really interested in that kid, are you? He is just a student. You are Wu Shan's daughter. So many people are watching you. You can't. Wu Tong suddenly stopped the car by the roadside. Get out. What nonsense are you talking about? He is my godbrother. I treat him like my own brother. So what if I am Wu Shan's daughter? I am Yuan Fei's daughter and Wu Long's sister. Don't try to put on an official show in front of me. I won't fall for it. I don't care how many people are watching me. That's your business. It's not my business. Hearing Wu Tong's words, Wu Shan's face turned slightly red. Wu Tong, don't be like this. I just want to have lunch with you to celebrate the robber you caught a few days ago. Get out of the car. I became a police officer by choice. It has nothing to do with you. Stop interfering with my work, and don't even try to interfere with my feelings. I can do whatever I want. I didn't want to mention my mother and brother, but you just had to remind me. Do you think Wu Shan's family has to be like this? If I had a choice, I would rather reincarnate into an ordinary family like Chen Guang's. Wu Tong slammed the steering wheel with all her might and roared hysterically. Wu Shan was silent. He turned his face to the other side and looked at the people coming and going outside the window. His eyes were slightly red. He took a deep breath, took out a small box from his suit pocket, and gently placed it next to the handbrake. It's your birthday in a month. I'm going to the capital for a meeting next week, and then I may go abroad to study for a period of time. I may not be able to come back on your birthday, so I'm giving you your birthday present in advance. It was my fault. I was too nervous. After Wu Shan finished speaking, he opened the car door, turned a corner, and silently walked away. Wu Tong pounced on the steering wheel. Her nose twitched violently, and she slammed the steering wheel angrily. Wu Tong, why are you crying? You're an amazing police officer. Mom and brother are watching you from the sky. Chen Guang did not know what Wu Tong and Wu Shan were talking about. He was looking at Ren Yuan and the others in front of him, expressionless. Chen Guang, we know it's our fault, but please take into account that we're all classmates. We don't ask for much, but we sincerely hope that you can forgive us. Ren Yuan and the others stood in front of Chen Guang with their heads drooped. Chen Guang waved his hand impatiently. Why are you telling me this? I'm not an official in the school, so I can't do anything to you. Let's all mind our own business from now on and live our own lives. You don't have to ask me to forgive you. I'm not Lu Xuanda. I'm not that magnanimous. I don't care what reason you have. You framed me anyway. You want me to repay evil with good? I'm sorry, but I can't do that. You guys can save it. After saying that, Chen Guang turned around and left. He was sick of these people. I've never been magnanimous. I'm already benevolent enough not to catch you guys and beat you up. Do you want me to forget our differences by drinking wine? I don't like that anymore. Who knows if two-faced people like you will stab me in the back in the future. Instead of being betrayed by your so-called friends, I might as well not be friends in the first place. Although Chen Guang was always laughing and joking around, he had a good eye for making friends. After being tormented for the entire morning, Chen Guang's illness acted up again, so he decided to skip classes in the afternoon. At noon, he waited for a new phone, and after going through a lot of trouble, he changed it. After rejecting the so-called celebration from his classmates, Chen Guang happily drove to the city hospital. When he arrived, his mother had just finished her dialysis. Her face was slightly pale as she rested on the hospital bed. His father held up the tablet with both hands and played the Langya list for his mother. Hugo is really handsome. He was already handsome when he acted in The Legend of the Sword and Fairy a few years ago. So many years have passed, but he still looks so handsome. I don't know how these celebrities take care of their skin, his mother said weakly, but she seemed to be in a good mood. Chen Guang nodded. The Legend of the Sword and Fairy, that was also his childhood. Chen Guoli rolled his eyes. Hugo is handsome, but in my opinion, our little Guang is more handsome. At least his spirit is much better than the sickly Hugo. What do you know? He's acting. Jiangzhu Mei Lang is a patient. Okay? It's because he's good at acting. His mother argued for the little fresh meat. Chen Guang stumbled when he heard Chen Guoli's words. Although I've always been confident, Dad, aren't you afraid that tens of millions of fans will hear about it and burn me to death? Mom, how are you feeling today? Chen Guang chuckled as he walked over. Feng Rong shifted her gaze away from the tablet and smiled. I'm all right. The doctor said that my condition is getting better. Oh yeah, why are you here? Don't you have classes in the afternoon? This ICU is pretty good. The nurses are in charge of individual tasks. Your dad can handle it alone. Don't come over if you have nothing to do. It'll affect your studies. Chen Guoli also nodded. That's right. Don't disturb me in your mother's world. Chen Guang rolled his eyes and flipped his head. We're both old man. My wife and son already have access to the internet. What do you mean by alone time? As for the classes in the afternoon, they're not important. I'll skip them. 15 minutes later, Chen Guoli placed his hands on his thighs and glared at Chen Guang, who was 10 meters away from him. Stop right there. Stop right there. What's with your tone? Do you think skipping classes is like eating or drinking? You're lucky that your mom isn't feeling well. Otherwise, I'll beat you to death with your mom. Chen Guang also placed a hand on the statue and pretended to look tired. All right, I can't wait for my mother to recover so that she can form a team with you. You won't be able to catch me alone. Save your energy. Tang Ying, who was taking a short break, was leaning on the windowsill of the doctor's office. She watched the father and son chase each other for 10 minutes. She was laughing so hard that she almost lost her breath. This father and son pair was really interesting. Chapter 179. Although Chen Guoli and Feng Rong looked like they wanted to grab Chen Guang and beat him up, Chen Guang still stayed in the ward for more than 2 hours. During that time, he took the opportunity to emphasize to his father that the house in his hometown should not be sold. Then, Chen Guang transferred the 100,000 yuan he earned yesterday to Chen Guoli on the spot. This shocked the middle-aged businessman who had been doing business for most of his life. What the hell did you do? Why does it look like you picked up the money from the ground? No, you have to give me an explanation. Chen Guoli widened his eyes and stared at Chen Guang blankly. He wanted to cut him open to see his heart. Chen Guang shrank back and put some distance between them. He thought to himself, I can't tell my dad that I taught people to race. Otherwise, I won't be able to escape today's men's singles beating. But how am I going to explain this? It's time for me to use my divine skill of deception. There's one thing that I've always found hard to say, but now I have to admit it to you, Dad. Chen Guang hesitated a little and pretended to make up his mind. Looking at his pained expression, Chen Guoli's heart tightened. Say it. As long as it's not against the law, as long as it's not life-threatening, I can understand. You didn't guess wrong that day. I really am sugar daddy, what? Chen Guoli looked at his son in shock. You're not joking? Chen Guang painfully turned his face to the side. It's true. How old is she? In her 30s? In her 40s? Is there any possibility of you getting married? Chen Guoli was actually concerned about this. Chen Guang shook his head, but didn't say anything. No possibility of getting married? Not her 30s or 40s. Oh my God. Could it be that she's already in her 50s or 60s? What a tragedy. Chen Guoli beat his chest and stamped his feet. Damn, Dad, didn't you just say that I was more handsome than Hu Ge? Is that all you have in me? Old Chen, am heartbroken. How could you face your grandparents? How could I face the ancestors of the Chen family? I was useless. I actually let my son become a prostitute to earn money. The other party's age was almost the same as my mother's. Chen Guoli, don't want to live anymore. As Chen Guoli spoke, he turned his head and wanted to hit the wall with his head. After a while, you will not associate it with the Queen of England. Dad, your divergence ability is at least 3 times stronger than mine. No, it's not like that. Listen to my explanation. Marriage was indeed out of the question. After all, the other party was too famous. However, the other party was not an old granny in her 50s or 60s. He's the same age as me. Chen Guang quickly explained, pulling Chen Guoli back from his train of thought. Chen Guoli jumped back again. What? Don't tell me it's the female celebrity you said you saved last time? Left and right hand. The national idol that even I, your dad, am tempted to look at? A pair of sisters? To be honest, if the person standing in front of him was not his dad, Chen Guang would have kicked him out. After thinking for a long time, he decided to let Jiang Yage take the blame. Your son is not that capable. It's just Jiang Yage alone. Hee hee, I don't believe you. Who is she? How can she be interested in nobody like you? After a while, Big Beard Ding's new movie will be released. You could go to the cinema to watch it. Your son's scenes are probably in the middle. There's a big scene in the middle of the movie. The deputy general with the silver spear, although he doesn't have any lines, his face is exposed. This is the opportunity that Jiang Yage helped me fight for. What I told you last time is also true. This 100,000, she paid you for the night. Chen Guoli interrupted. Dad, I give you full marks for your ability to make sentences. After a long explanation, Chen Guang told his dad that Jiang Yage was going to give him a Patek Philippe. After saying so much to him, Chen Guang was afraid that he would not believe it and secretly sell the house in his hometown. By then, it will be too late for regrets. The father and son went downstairs side by side. Chen Guoli's face was full of emotion. He patted Chen Guang's shoulder. Sai, that kind of superstar is probably just playing with you. There's no hope of getting married. The entertainment industry, Sai. Son, it's been hard on you. Anyway, the lie had already been made up. With Jiang Yage as a shield, Chen Guang thought that he would accidentally get money from somewhere and throw it to his dad. There was no need to explain anymore and let him think whatever he wanted. It can't be helped. She's actually quite a good person. I saved their lives, and I'm grateful that she thinks highly of me. I'm not in the mood to care about the entertainment industry. I'll just be a monk striking the bell for a day. In short, you must remember that this matter is only known by the heavens, the earth, you, and me. There can't be a third person who knows about it. It will have a very bad impact. Chen Guoli nodded vigorously. Yes, striking the bell for a day. The overnight fee is so high. It must be tiring, right? Why don't we go to the pharmacy at the entrance of the hospital and get a few bottles of Luwei Dihuang pills to nourish our body? Chen Guang, can you tell me more about the two of you? Did you take any safety measures? Did you guard against paparazzi when you booked the room? She looks so pure on the TV. Why is she such a person behind the scenes? There's no telling what's in her heart. Is Jean Shuiwei interested in you? I feel that if you have the chance, you can earn double. Even the Luwei Dihuang pills might not be enough. Dad, let's cut off our father-son relationship. The father and son went downstairs with a wretched look on their faces. Chen Guoli went back to his ward, while Chen Guang planned to go to Professor Lu's office to ask about the transplant surgery preparations. However, Professor Lu wasn't there, so he went to find Tang Ying. By this time, Chen Guang had gradually accepted Tang Ying as his mother's deputy chief physician. Even though he didn't want to admit that he had a deep misunderstanding of her, Chen Guang could tell that Tang Ying seemed to have real skills. When he arrived at Tang Ying's office, there were people coming and going. She was busy. There was nothing urgent. So Chen Guang found a corner and stood there. When Tang Ying inadvertently glanced at him, he greeted her. He then quietly looked at this overly young female doctor. She looked a little haggard. To outsiders, being a doctor was a glamorous, high-paid, and well-respected profession. But in fact, only they themselves knew the pain they were going through. Working overtime was a piece of cake for them, and their regular working hours were much longer than that of ordinary people. This was especially so for chief physicians who were in charge of patients. They practically ate and lived in the hospital, and they never had time to rest. Tang Ying had actually been working for more than 14 hours straight. She only took a short nap in the middle and ate 3 meals. However, even though her face was haggard, the fighting spirit in her eyes was still burning. After Dr. Ma left, she finally successfully gained a foothold in this hospital. She was rushing forward with all her might, so how could she be willing to stop? Chapter 180. After she finished talking to the doctor, she slowly stood up and stretched. She shrugged her tired shoulders and walked over to Chen Guang. She seemed to be in a good mood. Yo, you're here again? Why aren't you looking for your beloved Professor Lu? Why are you here? Tang Ying knew that Professor Lu wasn't here today, so she deliberately teased Chen Guang. Chen Guang was speechless. Why is this woman so vengeful? Every time she says something like, "I'm your savior. Professor Liu isn't here. Who else would I look for if not you?" Chen Guang said in a muffled voice. Tang Ying let out a long chuckle and yawned. "Wait for me for 2 minutes. I'm going to get off work. I'm going to change and go home to sleep. I saw you earlier. You've been here for a while, right? You're going out after asking me some questions, right? Are you going to the sports car?" Chen Guang nodded. "That's what I plan to do." After waiting for about 6 or 7 minutes, Tang Ying walked over in plain clothes. She wasn't like most women who liked to carry a satchel when they went out. Instead, she carried a huge backpack on her back that was stuffed to the brim. Knowing that he would have to rely on her in the future, Chen Guang took the initiative to reach out his hand. "Your back looks like it's going to break. Give me the backpack." Chen Guang wasn't an ordinary patient's family member, so there was an extra layer to their relationship. Tang Ying didn't stand on ceremony with him. She threw the backpack into Chen Guang's hands. "That's great. Take it." "Why is it so heavy? Are there gold bricks in it?" Even with Chen Guang's physique, he felt it was heavy. One could imagine how heavy it felt to be on top of Tang Ying. Tang Ying led the way out and said, "There are medical books in there. How can it not be heavy?" "Medical books? Can I take a look?" Chen Guang's interest was piqued as he wondered if he could learn medicine. Then, when Liuli appeared, she would instantly become the strongest doctor in history. However, he also knew that this idea was not very realistic. The amount of knowledge involved in medical skills was too large, and it required a comprehensive understanding of the subject. It was not something that could be learned just by reading books. It required an extremely rich clinical experience, and it was probably not something that the spirit heaven realm in a cup could handle. Tang Ying, on the other hand, rolled her eyes at him in disdain. "It's all in English. Do you think a lousy university student like you can understand it? If you don't believe me, you can try." Chen Guang opened the zipper and took out a medical book that was as thick as an Oxford dictionary. He raised his eyebrows proudly and said, "You're looking down on me." Then, as he walked, Chen Guang read out the sentences in the English tome one by one. His pronunciation was perfect and the taste was pure. It was still the original formula and the original taste. Tang Ying had lived in the United States for many years, so she was more knowledgeable. She was shocked by Chen Guang's move, just like Schmidt. "Oh my God, where did you learn to speak English like this?" Chen Guang chuckled and said, "So, this is to tell you that there's always someone better than you. Don't think that just because you're a doctor from Morance, you're so arrogant. It's also because I felt dizzy after reading a few paragraphs that I didn't want to study medicine anymore. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have a chance." He was not joking. Learning medicine was not something an ordinary person could do without a bit of talent and patience. "Fine, I'm the one with the long hair. You didn't come all the way here just to show off your English, right? You must want to ask about your mother's transplant, right?" Chen Guang nodded and said, "Yeah, I can't rest easy without surgery. Of course, I want it to be done as soon as possible." By then, the two had already walked next to Chen Guang's car. Tang Ying patted him on the shoulder and said, "Don't worry. With such a perfect match and Professor Liu as the chief surgeon, unless the sky falls, nothing big will happen. Of course, this is, after all, a major surgery that will affect your muscles and bones. So, be it your mother or the person who is providing the transplant source, both of them will have to adjust their bodies to the best condition before they can come here. I estimate that it will take around 30 days or so. It's better to be safe." "I'm relieved to hear that. Everything is ready. We just need money. Is that okay?" Tang Ying asked. Chen Guang thought for a while and said, "No problem. Okay, then I'll place the order online. Hurry up and take me home." Tang Ying crawled into Chen Guang's passenger seat and took out her phone. Chen Guang hurriedly stopped her. "Don't. Save it. If someone finds out that you're taking orders in a car, the money you earn won't even be enough to pay the fine. I'll owe you a big favor. I'll take you home. You won't act until you see the rabbit. Last time you sent me home, your attitude was terrible, but now you're so gentle and considerate like a nice guy. Men nowadays." Tang Ying didn't want to waste time with him. She put away her phone and teased him. Chen Guang was embarrassed by her words. "I'm still a university student, a boy, not a man yet." On the way, the two chatted and laughed. Tang Ying told Chen Guang a lot of interesting things about her abroad and indirectly showed off her achievements abroad. This made Chen Guang believe that this woman really was an amazing medical doctor. Tang Ying watched as Chen Guang took the order in front of her and drove away. She carried a big backpack with both hands and smiled. At this moment, she was standing at the place where the two of them had first met. She remembered that Chen Guang said he was still a university student, a boy, and her smile grew bigger. You say you're a boy, but you're much more responsible than the average man. Good people always have good lives. I hope everything goes well for your family. I, Tang Ying, will do my best. Life always takes time away inadvertently. After Wang Run was chased away, peace returned to the Jinhuan Academy and the entire class. Chen Guang contacted the two of them again and received a piece of good news. The two of them were recording at a much faster pace than he had imagined, and they would probably return to China 10 days before the surgery. At that time, they would directly fly over to look for him. With this as a foundation, Chen Guang didn't have to worry about money anymore. He spent more of his energy on the battle of wits and courage with the heavenly Holy Grail. All day long, he was thinking about how to make better use of his crazy knife. Based on his previous experiences in the Spiritual Celestial Cup, he could roughly analyze the skill level of the Spiritual Celestial Cup. What kind of skill was easy to learn and use to make money? It was easy to say, but it was extremely difficult to think about. In addition, Lu Li used the power of the realm of life, which seemed to consume a lot of energy. Even the heavenly Holy Grail didn't move. But as time passed, Chen Guang was on guard every day, afraid that he would waste the precious 3,000 worlds like he did the last time he sharpened a pencil. It was tiring. Suddenly, when he came back to his senses, 2 weeks had passed. It was almost time for the CET-4 exam. Chapter 181. In the class, Chen Guang's tragic reputation of failing 5 times in a row in CET-4 was already gone. The time of the CET-4 exam, which was almost forgotten by others, was suddenly noticed by everyone because of the unusual existence of Chen Guang. Place your bets. Place your bets. Bet on how many points Brother Guang can pass the CET-4 exam. Place your bets. Bai Nyangzi, who was good at making money, began to shout as soon as the class was over. Tomorrow was the CET-4 and CET-6 exam that would make all the college students worry, gloat, or weep bitterly. This bets was also a reserve program in the engineering class, and it was the 3rd time so far. The difference was that in the past, everyone bet on how many points Chen Guang would lose, but this time, they bet on how many points he would pass the exam. After witnessing his sudden rise last time, no one dared to look down on his English anymore. I bet 100 points. I bet 150 points. 200 points. Lying by the window, Chen Guang looked at those idiots acting cute while fiddling with the heavenly Saint Grail. In his heart, he was thinking, Big Sister Liuli, why don't you give me some news? It's already been 2 weeks, and there's no news at all. I'm starting to panic. She said last time that this was a punishment world derived from the realm of life, and it would definitely be very different from a normal test world. Although he knew his life was not in danger for the time being, he still couldn't help feeling guilty and had an ominous premonition of impending disaster. You bunch of cowards. I bet more than 700 points. That's right, a full score of 710. I bet Brother Guang can pass the exam with more than 700 points. Lin Jingwei shouted, and even Chen Guang was surprised. Little Lin, you think too highly of me, don't you? Lin Jingwei chuckled. I believe in Brother Guang, and I won't fail. Brother Guang, never fails. Get lost. Chen Guang threw the book in his hand far away, and it hit Lin Jingwei's face. Little Chen's flying letter never missed its target. At this critical moment, Chen Guang saw a figure outside the classroom from the corner of his eye. Holy shit, Goddess 11 is here. I can't let her see the wager of this bunch of grandsons. Otherwise, all the effort that I've put in to hide until now will be wasted. Immediately, Chen Guang shot up from his seat like a bolt of lightning. He took large strides and instantly rushed in front of Bai Nyangzi's group. The table was already filled with red and green notes. Bai Nyangzi was burying his head in a piece of paper and making notes. Based on the passing score of 425 points, there would be a level every 50 points. Everyone's bets were basically aiming for more than 100 points. Yo, why is it so lively? What are you doing? Wenwen had already barged into the classroom. She often went to look for Chun Guang in the environmental sciences class, so she knew these people well and didn't need to be polite. Gaoya, who was sitting on the other side, rolled her eyes and poked Sun Xiaoxuan's waist. This witch is here again. Xiaoxuan, you should take the initiative. Your lover will be snatched away by your rival sooner or later. Sun Xiaoxuan's face blushed as she responded. Woman might be beautiful, but Qin Guang isn't a shallow person. Gaoya's mouth opened wide. I've heard that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You're not a beauty, but a saint. Don't you see that teacher Zhua has been finding all kinds of reasons to ask Qin Guang to go to her office? Is there something wrong with this guy? Why does everyone like him? You think Lin Jingwei is pleasing to the eye, but you can't see the good in Qin Guang. How am I pleasing to the eye? I want to beat him to death. Sun Xiaoxuan finally retaliated against Gaoya. On the other side, seeing Wenwen getting closer and closer, Qin Guang panicked. Bai Nyangzi knew something was wrong when he saw Qin Guang's expression. He suddenly remembered Qin Guang's warning and panicked. Although he didn't know why his brother Guang wanted to hide it from Wenwen, he seemed to really care about it. What should he do now? At this moment of life and death, Bai Nyangzi's wit finally came into play. His eyes widened in anger, and he abruptly grabbed the paper filled with his bet records. First, he stuffed it into his mouth. Then he hugged the money on the table and jumped up. As he chewed on the paper, he dashed out of the aisle and ran out of the classroom. I'm done. I'm done. You all bet on the national football team to lose. None of you back me up. Before Bai Nyangzi's voice fell, he had already rushed past Wenwen like lightning and rushed out of the classroom. The others who had already placed their bets didn't know why Bai Nyangzi was talking about the national football team at this time, but it was an indisputable fact that he was going to swallow the bet and run away with the money. Although they knew he was joking, they still chased after him. Qin Guang was touched. What good brother. I'll remember this friendship of yours in my notebook. What is Bai Fan doing? Qin Guang answered. They are betting on tomorrow's national football game. Those guys who only want to make money and not lose all bet on losing. I told him to win with 3 goals, but he didn't believe me. Now, he can only go back on his word. He deserves it. Oh, by the way, how confident are you in tomorrow's exam? As she said this, Wenwen seemed to subtly puff out her chest. She purposely came here today to remind Qin Guang so that he wouldn't fall asleep in despair. Su Tao nearly forgot to mention that Qin Guang had actually been defeated once in his quintuple fourth order. Last semester, he had slept through his CET4 exam. When he woke up, it was already 12 in the afternoon. This incident was also a legend at the time, and it laid the final foundation for his CET4 Qin Hui title. Glancing at Wenwen's perky breasts, Qin Guang secretly swallowed his saliva and patted his chest steady. All right then, remember not to oversleep. After the exam tomorrow afternoon, let's go to the internet cafe together to celebrate your temporary relief. If you oversleep like last time, then we won't go to the internet cafe, Wenwen said, and prepared to leave. Qin Guang asked, where are we going? There's a new boxing club in the city, and there's a hospital right next to it. I'm interested in taking a look. F***CK. This is a blatant threat, but I can't say anything. Wenwen was about to leave after she finished speaking, but just as she turned around, she turned back and pointed at Lin Jingwei and Xiong, who were hiding in the corner of the classroom. She was puzzled. Why are you guys hiding so far away? Xiong scratched his head. We're afraid of being injured by your murderous aura. Coward. Wenwen raised her eyebrows, turned around, and walked away. After she left the classroom, Bai Nyangzi was carried back by everyone. They were performing CPR on Bai Nyangzi's stomach. Spit it out. Spit it out. You really swallowed it. You're a beast. There's so much ink on it. You can really swallow it. Terrible, really terrible. Lin Jingwei walked to Qin Guang's back quietly and said faintly, I feel like you're hiding something from us. You really want to know? This is a bet between me and 1-1. If she loses, Chen Guang purposely dragged out his words. Before he finished speaking, Lin Jingwei had already dragged Xiong Jinka out. We actually don't want to know. Chen Guang shrugged. Woman was right. These people were really cowards. Tomorrow is the exam. My young Miss One, just you wait. Big Brother promises to give you a big surprise. I can't control it anymore. I'm going to ignite my strength and fighting spirit. Poor 1-1. She still didn't know that other than herself, everyone believed that Chen Guang would definitely pass this time. Chapter 182. Chen Guang had always thought that he had seen through the bottom line of his classmates, but he realized that he was wrong today. When he got up early in the morning, Lin Jingwei and the other two were already gone. He had no idea where they went. Chen Guang cleaned his face, took his student ID, and went downstairs. On the way, he was also puzzled. He had to take the CET-4 test today, but the three of them had already passed the CET-4 test, and none of them applied for the CET-6 test. They should have no classes today, but they didn't sleep in. He didn't know where they went. Could it be that these three were up to something behind his back? He ate 3 steam buns in the second cafeteria and drank a bowl of porridge. When he walked out of the cafeteria, he finally knew what the three of them were doing. The whole environmental engineering class was gathered outside. He didn't know where they found their red clothes. Looking around, he saw a red ocean, a small fish pond. In short, they were waiting for Chen Guang to give him a big surprise. What are you doing? Why are you all dressed so red? Are you going to get married? Chen Guang laughed as he walked down the short stairs in front of the cafeteria. Lin Jingwei and Bai Nyangzi, who were standing in front of the crowd, looked at each other, then suddenly took out a rolled-up banner and threw it away. Madame White immediately took over the other end of the banner. The two of them quickly pulled it to both sides, and the banner was pulled open like a painting of mountains and rivers. When it was completely unfolded, there were 8 big words written on the banner. Chen Guang, the King of English. Damn, you guys are so bored. Are you afraid I'm not famous enough? Students passing by on the pedestrian street outside of the cafeteria couldn't help but look at them. Chen Guang saw that the situation was not good, so he planned to run away. At this moment, Sun Xiaoxuan, who was wearing a pink floral dress, had a blushing face and was holding an electric loudspeaker in his hand. He took a step forward, took a deep breath, and put the loudspeaker in front of his mouth. After holding it for a long time, he turned it off and said in a low voice, I'm sorry. I really can't shout. When he saw the electric horn in Sun Xiaoxuan's hand, Chen Guang was scared. He decisively turned around and walked towards the teaching building with his face covered. When he passed by Sun Xiaoxuan, he heard what she said and let out a sigh of relief. There were so many people watching. If he really shouted her name out, would he still be able to face others in the future? At this moment, Galia snatched the electric horn from Sun Xiaoxuan's hand and stuffed it into Lin Jingwei's hands. We spent so much effort to cheer. How can we give up halfway? At this moment, Lin Jingwei started to panic. Holding onto the loudspeaker, he looked at Chen Guang's silhouette and hesitated. Are we really going to shout? Gaia nodded. Shout if you're a man. Chen Guang was about 20 to 30 meters away when he heard Lin Jingwei's hoarse roar. Chen Guang. Go. Pass. Level 4. F***CKU. Can't we still be friends? Who is this Chen Guang? He's just taking the level 4 exam. And he's making such a scene? I don't know. Maybe he's some rich kid. He's the guy who was trending on the school's internet a few days ago. I remember him. He's a rich kid. He smashed someone's A4L with his gang, and he slapped money on the person's face. The person lost money on the spot. F***CK. He's so cool. Where is he? Where is he? I have to grab this opportunity to ride his coattails. Save it. It's hard to get along with those rich kids. He might even give you a few tight slaps if he doesn't like you. Chen Guang buried his head even deeper as he listened to the strange discussions around him. He had reason to believe that the people in class were not cheering him on. They were purely trying to set him up. If it wasn't for the fact that he had become the real king of English, he would have performed badly before the exam. You guys are a bunch of scammers. He went straight to the building where the exam venue was located. He met another person outside. It was a bit cooler today. Woman was wearing a long, thin, white windbreaker. She was standing next to the first teaching building. When the breeze blew, her long hair danced in the wind. She then rolled up a corner of the windbreaker, revealing the lower half of her slender legs. The warm morning sun shone down on her face. The fine hair on her face was wrapped in the faint light, adding a different kind of dazzling radiance to her already beautiful face. Chen Guang, who was standing nearby, was dumbfounded. The other boys passing by were even worse. Some of them had already accidentally tripped and fell. Even after enduring 3 years of training, Chen Guanghan still couldn't guard against it all day and night. What's wrong? Are you dumbfounded? Wenwen took a step forward and stood right in front of Chen Guang. Chen Guang turned his face to the side with great difficulty. It's a bit hard, but I can still take it. Wenwen covered her mouth and laughed. Then you better remember, do your best and do your best. Of course, I haven't forgotten our bet from a month ago. I'm afraid that you might think that I've forgotten. You're a shy person and never bring it up in front of me. So I'm here to remind you. Just because of what you said, I have to grit my teeth and do it even if I have to lose 10 years of my life. Chen Guang laughed. It's good that you know. I'm going back to the dormitory first. I'll wait for your good news. Wenwen really came here to wait for him. She left after saying a few words. Watching Wenwen's figure go away, Chen Guang clenched his fist. Since she had said so much, of course, he had to pass it. 2.5 hours later, Chen Guang was like a general who had returned from the battlefield. He walked down the stairs of the teaching building with brisk and powerful steps. He couldn't help but be so happy and proud. Without any accidents, his level had reached a high enough level. These CET for questions were not difficult for him at all. Although he couldn't confirm the specific score, Chen Guang was 100% sure that he had passed the CET, for that had troubled him for 3 years. For others, this might be a trivial matter. But for Chen Guang, it was a milestone breakthrough. It was not only because of Wenwen's attractive bet, but also because this matter had been bothering him for too long. It had almost become a demon in his heart. All right, Miss Wen's bet was great too. He really had to thank the Heavenly Holy Grail. If it wasn't for the help of the Heavenly Holy Grail, Chen Guang was sure that no matter how hard he worked this year, he wouldn't be able to create any miracles in a month. In short, it was time for her to fulfill her promise. I passed CET4. Where should I go to fulfill my promise? It was impossible to do it in public. In the forest by Yuanming Lake? Although it was a sacred place for a tryst, wouldn't it be good if someone bumped into it, right? It would be such a loss if someone saw it and took advantage of it. Forget it. He couldn't do anything without risking it. Although it hurt, he couldn't save this little bit of money. He would book a room in a hotel outside the school. Which hotel should he book? With the status of when university's campus bell, a nameless hotel was shameful. Of course, it had to be the only hotel with stars. Chen Guang took out his phone and decided to book a room first. Chapter 183. As for why he didn't consider buying the rubber umbrella, firstly, the hotel definitely had it, and secondly, Chen Guang didn't think it would be useful. When university's campus belle had always been a man of her word, since she had already said that there would definitely be no more benefits. There was no need to feel regretful. As long as he thought about the fact that he had finally taken the first important step after 20 years of zero breakthroughs, there would be no more regrets. When Chen Guang noticed that an hourly room in the huge Crater's Wellington Hotel cost more than 300 yuan, his fingers hesitated for a moment, but he still clicked hard. A worker must sharpen his tools to do a good job. If he wasn't ruthless to himself, how could he be worthy of when university's campus belle's generosity? After booking the room, he called Wenwen in a hurry before he even had dinner. What's wrong? Is the exam over? Wenwen sounded a little absent-minded. Chen Guang chuckled. Of course. Where are you? I'm coming to find you. Come straight to the internet cafe, the same place. Hurry up. There are so many people today. There are at least 70 to 80 people trying to take your seat. Luckily, I used second uncle's ID to open a computer, or else you would have lost your seat long ago. No wonder Wenwen's voice sounded absent-minded. It turned out that this big sister had already gone to the internet cafe and was in the middle of a fierce battle. Guang was puzzled. Since he used second uncle's ID to open a computer, why didn't he just sit there and surf the internet? Why did he ask someone to come over and ask you? Wenwen spat at him from a distance. You really know how to think. Second uncle is already so old. I just used his ID, and he was so embarrassed that he almost broke a tree. He even let people into the internet cafe to sit. Guang chuckled. He recalled second uncle's expert demeanor. It was a little out of place for such a person to sit in the internet cafe. After hanging up, he suddenly remembered that he had forgotten to tell her about the bet. He was so regretful that he stomped his feet. However, on second thought, she was there, and she wouldn't fly away. With Wenwen's personality, he wasn't afraid that she would go back on her word. There was no need to tell her over the phone. It would be better to tell her face to face at the internet cafe. The hourly room would only start at 2 p.m. and end at 5 p.m. There was no hurry. It didn't take long for him to find Wenwen. It couldn't be helped. Whenever she came alone, she would always be surrounded by a lot of enthusiastic people. Usually, these enthusiastic fans would point out Wenwen's equipment and maneuvers at the beginning. Even if they weren't Dota players, but League of Legends players, they were no exception. However, in the end, these people would shut their mouths one after another, not daring to speak out of turn due to Wenwen's gorgeous and precise manipulation. This was also the reason why she didn't like coming to the internet cafe alone. It was extremely annoying. Excuse me, please excuse me. There were too many people standing in the aisle. Guang couldn't smoothly move over. He could only politely ask the people squeezing in the aisle to make space for him. He didn't expect that the people surrounding him were all young and energetic lads. Everyone was busy watching their goddess maneuvers. It wasn't easy for them to occupy an advantageous position. How could they let a newcomer move away just like that? Bro, don't you understand the principle of first come, first served? You should be aware that you're late. Just wait at the back. There'll be space for you when the people in front leave. A lad with long, palm-length hair turned around and glanced at Guang with disdain. Guang was overjoyed. It had been so many days since he beat up Dong Tao. He hadn't fought anyone for a long time. His peerless skills were probably rusting and degenerating. Thank you for acting cool in front of me. This internet cafe is 1-1, and I'm blessed. If we go back and forth here a few more times, there'll be a continuous stream of lads coming to us to practice. If we persist for 8 to 10 years, we'll definitely achieve the peerless skills that tens of thousands of people admire. Let's go outside and talk about life. Guang said excitedly. Hey, you guys have nothing better to do. Why are you squeezing behind me? I already said that I'm waiting for someone. Now that my friend is here, you guys are blocking my way. Are you trying to fight with a lady like me? At this time, Wenwen finally ended the exciting game. She threw away her mouse and turned to look at Guang with a straight face. Guang was sad. Damn it, he was noticed by this T-Rex. His hard-earned practice opportunity was going to go to waste again. Yo, the girl's temper is pretty bad. I'm not going to let you go. So what? The long-haired youth didn't disappoint Guang. He continued to speak with a raised eyebrow. While speaking, he also winked at the people around him. These people jumped up and down with him. It turned out that there was a group of people here. No wonder he had the guts to be so arrogant. Guang laughed. I've seen a lot of people like you. Now, the grass on their graves is almost 2 meters tall. Your joke isn't funny. The long-haired youth kept a straight face. He felt that he was very cool. I think this joke is pretty good. What do you guys think? 1-1, who was sitting in the booth, spoke again. This time, she had something in her hand. It was a can of Coke that she had just finished drinking. As she spoke, crunching sounds could be heard from the Coke can in her hand. Under everyone's eyes, the aluminum alloy Coke can was easily squashed flat by her fair hands and then twisted into a small metal ball with her fingers. Translator, Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations, the sound of people sucking in a breath of cold air came one after another. The group of young men behind Wenwen were all dumbfounded. When they looked at Guang again, the expression in their eyes immediately changed. They said, "How can you be so arrogant and cool?" They thought you had some amazing ability. After a long time, it turned out that this delicate beauty was the real Thai. Brother, your skill of pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, we admire it. Run. In less than 10 seconds, the crowd behind Wenwen scattered like birds and beasts. Chen Guang sat down next to her. Before he could say anything, Wenwen urged, "Hurry up, I just finished a round and my hands are still warm." Originally, Chen Guang had wanted to directly bring up the matter of the bet, but seeing her like this, he didn't want to dampen her spirits, so he thought, "Fine, I'll play a few rounds with you first." Today was a little strange. That ID called Jiang Luhua hadn't appeared from start to finish. The two of them hadn't encountered any snipers, so they had won 2 rounds without a hitch. At this moment, Chen Guang wondered if he was sick. When that Jiang Luhua had been jumping around, he had hated him to the core, but now that he had disappeared, his heart felt empty. Unknowingly, it was already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. His stomach had started to growl with hunger, and the most important thing was that the hourly hotel reservation was about to expire. He was finally anxious. Taking advantage of this round, he finally plucked up the courage to say, "Wenwen, there's something I don't know if I should say." "Go ahead. What about our bet?" As Chen Guang said this, his gaze drifted down to Wenwen's chest. His meaning couldn't be more obvious. Woman shrank back. "What nonsense are you thinking about? F***CK. Is he clearly going to renege on his debt? Even if I agree, the heavens won't agree." Chen Guang was having none of it. "You can't renege on your debt, can you?" Wenwen hit his chest. "Who said I'm going to renege on my debt? Am I that kind of person who can't take responsibility? But you can't expect me to fulfill my promise right after the exam, can you? The results haven't come out yet, so no matter how confident you are, you can't say you've already passed." Chen Guang was dumbfounded. F***CK. Today is June 14th, and we'll have to wait until the results come out on August 20th. There are still 67 days left. All right, it's not like I'm going to fly away. Just wait here obediently. Even if you want to take advantage of me, you have to follow the basic rules, right? We have to follow the rules. Didn't we agree that you'll only be rewarded if you pass the exam? Wenwen said with a grin. Obviously, she had this idea from the start, but she had purposely waited until now to point it out to Chen Guang. Chen Guang covered his face. D***MN, his heart was bleeding. The hourly room that cost more than 300 renminbi was booked for nothing. All right, don't look so sad. Are you really 100% confident?" Wenwen asked again when she saw how pitiful he was. Chen Guang nodded. 100%. How about this? Let's find a quiet corner later, and I'll let you get 20% of your reward in advance. How about that? Not through my clothes for a minute. Get lost. Just through my clothes. Take it or leave it. Chapter 184. The two of them squeezed into the internet cafe's toilet. The narrow space forced the two of them to be extremely close to each other. Thankfully, this internet cafe's toilet was relatively clean, and there was almost no odor. Looking at Wenwen, who had her eyes tightly closed and her coat tightly wrapped around her, Chen Guang's breathing was a little heavy. At such a close distance, even the slightest sound of breathing could be clearly heard by the other party. The thin coat couldn't cover Wenwen's peerless figure. Looking at her from such a close distance, her chest was so tall and straight. Chen Guang slowly raised his right hand and slowly moved towards one of the peaks. The closer he got, the slower his movements became. Bean-sized beads of sweat had already densely covered the tip of his nose, completely betraying his overly nervous mood at the moment. 5 minutes had passed since they squeezed into the toilet, but to Chen Guang, it seemed like a whole year had passed. "You're not going to let the two of us stay here for a year, right? Can I still go home for Chinese New Year?" Wenwen suddenly opened her eyes and stared at Chen Guang, who was right in front of her, as she said so. Chen Guang's hand that hadn't really touched her retracted, as if it had been electrocuted. He panted heavily. "My sister, I'm about to succeed. Don't suddenly scare me." Wenwen angrily stepped on his foot. "I don't know what you're afraid of. I didn't say no. You've already retracted your hand at least 8 times. Can you blame me for this?" Chen Guang put on a long face. What do you know? Although I've more or less accidentally taken advantage of you in the past, this is the first time in my life that I've had the opportunity to take the initiative to feel it. Can you please understand my nervousness a little? Screw you. You make it sound like I have a lot of experience being touched by others. This is not the first time in my life. Stop dawdling. I'll give you one last chance. If you waste it again, you could go back to your dorm and pinch your pillow. Hurry up. As Wenwen spoke, she put her hands on Chen Guang's shoulders, straightened her chest, and closed her eyes again. Chen Guang took a deep breath. He decided that regardless of whether the sky would collapse in the future, at least at this moment, he must throw away that shameful loser's personality. No matter how unreachable this great goddess one was, no matter whether the person living in her body was a man or a woman, and no matter how much she might regret it later and beat him up. Right now, he had to be a brave and valiant man. Chen Guang charged. He raised his hand fiercely, closed his eyes, and pushed his palm forward like a shot put. The distance between his palm and the mountain continued to shrink. This 5 fingers peak of the devil's palm, with resolute courage, crossed time and space, broke through the barrier of fate, fiercely and without regret, and blasted on Maiden's Mountain. They collided. At this moment, Chen Guang finally understood why men's desire to pursue women was so deep-rooted since ancient times. Even if it was just a simple touch, as long as it was done deliberately, that touch, which was filled with the terrifying impact of the creation of heaven and earth and the birth of chaos, was like thousands of lightning bolts starting from his heel and fiercely shot up. A whirlpool-like numbness rushed up from the soles of his feet, passed through his whole body like lightning, and went straight to his head. So, this was the feeling of pinching this maiden's peak. It was really incredible. This is a historical moment. From now on, I, Chen Guang, will finally break free from the shackles and become a brave man without hesitation. I've taken such a solid step, just like humans stepping on the moon for the first time. But it's strange why in such an epic moment, I feel so good that my stomach hurts a little. When he opened his eyes, he saw Wenwen's fist on his stomach. Oh, didn't you find out that my abdominal muscles could have such a strong ability to change shape? F***. I got beaten up, I knew it would be like this. Ouch! Dragging out a long tremble, Chen Guang clutched his stomach in pain and squatted down on the ground. Wenwen's face was full of apology and hurriedly supported Chen Guang. I'm sorry, I really didn't mean it. Also don't know what happened. When you really touched it, I couldn't control my hand for a moment, and when I came back to my senses, it had already hit your stomach. Stop talking. Quickly call 120. I can still be saved. Chen Guang roughly understood the meaning of dying under a peony flower, and becoming a ghost was also a romantic principle. Poor him. He only touched the peony flower from afar, and was poked all over his body. Today's encounter reminded him of the same painful punch from many years ago. It was still that familiar smell, the same location, the same injury. After experiencing the slaughter in the sea of time, he was clearly no longer the same as before, but lying on the bed, his stomach still felt waves of cramping pain. He remembered the doctor's sigh from before. Oh my, this is really bad. Did you get hit by a car? Luckily you're strong enough, otherwise you'd be lying in bed for a few days. Sigh, I really have to thank God for being able to live until today. Wenwen was currently sitting by the bed with an apologetic face, rubbing her hands in shame. Don't look at me with such a wronged face. I really didn't mean it. You have inner strength like second uncle. Don't try to lie to me. Second uncle spilled the beans last time. I wanted to learn from him, but he refused to teach me. Chen Guang felt that this matter must be brought up. Otherwise, if this situation continues, when the results of the 4th level come out, if she really didn't want him to kiss her through her clothes, she would definitely punch his forehead, and then he would really die under a peony flower. Wenwen nodded helplessly. This is inner strength. Chen Guang immediately continued. Master, I want to learn. For the sake of brothers, just teach me a little. Otherwise, I'll be beaten to death by you sooner or later. Wenwen sighed. I'm willing to teach you, but my family matters can't be explained with just a few words. But my family's matters can't be explained in just a few words. If you want to learn, how? What's the condition? Wenwen's face was filled with helplessness. Then you have to marry me. Is this a hard and fast rule? Chen Guang asked. Wenwen nodded. Yes. I can't go against it. Chen Guang spread his hands. I have no problem with it. Risk and benefit always coexist. Get lost. I have a problem with it. Wenwen rejected him decisively. Hearing those words, Chen Guang refused to accept it and continued. Look, the two of us are destined to be single forever. Instead of mocking each other for being single forever, why don't we just clap our hands together and form a pair? I think this is a good idea. Wenwen glanced at him disdainfully. Good my ass. I went to see a psychiatrist some time ago. Damn, what did the psychiatrist say? The psychiatrist said that I will definitely have a tendency of domestic violence in the future. After all, this lady is a little too manly sometimes. The weather is really good today. Let's go for a walk. Didn't you say you want to marry me just now? Ha ha ha, The so-called marrying Wenwen was just a joke between the two of them. Both of them were used to each other's mischief. But if they really wanted to turn each other into lovers, it would be exceptionally strange. Especially Chen Guang, although he never took the initiative to inquire about Wenwen's family background. He knew that the gap between them was really too big. But he was not anxious because he had the heavenly Holy Grail. However, it was not a joke. That punch today was worth it. The feeling of that moment could be remembered for half a year. Anyway, he did not plan to wash his hands this month. Chapter 185. In the next few days, the two of them didn't have much time to play games. After passing the CET-4 exam, as a university student, the next thing they had to face was the final exam that the straight-A students were looking forward to and the straight-A students were terrified of. Chen Guang didn't go to the sport car anymore. He only went to the city hospital every 1 or 2 days and spent most of the rest of his time cramming for the final exam. As a senior straight-A student, he had a lot of experience in last-minute training. In less than a week, relying on his skillful experience, he passed 3 tests in a row and solved the exams of 3 compulsory courses. Thank God, he would have more than a week of rest, and the next exam would be on June 27th. Although he had the fate of a protagonist with a magical artifact, he still had to be hung up and punished by his father if he failed. Old Master Chen Guang was also panicking in his heart. These days, he didn't even have the mood to ambush the heavenly Holy Grail's world in the cup. Anyway, there was still no movement from the heavenly Holy Grail, so he couldn't defend against it. If it weren't for Liuli's fairy-like face that would still occasionally appear in his dreams at night, Chen Guang would almost think that his heavenly Holy Grail was really an ordinary cup. Today, he woke up abnormally early because he couldn't contain his excitement. After waiting for a long time, the 2 celebrities on his left and right hand were finally coming back from abroad. Their plane would arrive at Wujing Airport at about noon. In order to come to Wujing City, the 2 of them seemed to have really given themselves a long vacation. The 2 women, who lived under the spotlight all year round, played a big trick on the outside media. They made people think that they were still in the United States, but they had quietly boarded the plane back to China. The only people who knew that the 2 women were returning to China at this time were probably the passengers and flight attendants in the first-class cabin. There was no time for others to find a way to inform the reporters or paparazzi. The 2 of them made up their minds to look for Chen Guang as soon as they got off the plane, so they didn't arrange for a private car to pick them up. They knew that Chen Guang was online, so they directly asked Chen Guang to pick them up at the airport. Usually, when a certain celebrity left the airport on TV, he would be surrounded by all kinds of cameras and paparazzi, as if he had accidentally revealed his whereabouts. He would have to call for a large number of bodyguards to protect him before he could successfully walk out of the airport. In fact, those who knew the ropes all knew that this so-called leaking of their whereabouts was completely intentional. Usually, the purpose of doing this was to cover up the whereabouts of celebrities. A trip like this needed to be done with great fanfare to promote a new film, a new song, or something else. Even if you were a celebrity like Wazai, it wouldn't be difficult for you to sneak out and land without anyone noticing. As a top-notch taxi driver, Chen Guang took a refreshing cold shower early in the morning. Then, he deliberately changed into a summer outfit that he thought was the best. It was a Hawaiian-style floral shirt and loose and handsome Hawaiian pants. He grabbed the styling gel that Lin Jingwei had been spraying on his head recently and sprayed it all over his head as if it was free. Then, he combed his hair into a handsome windmill hairstyle. Master Guang decided to use his best condition to welcome the Patek Philippe. Oh no, the two friends who could save his mother's life. Just as he was about to go out, Bai Nyangzi walked out of the dormitory in slippers with narrowed eyes. He saw Chen Guang in the living room looking at the mirror and showing off his good looks as usual before going out. He complained, "Brother Guang, are you going on a blind date?" Chen Guang rolled his eyes at him in disdain. "What do you know? I'm going to earn big money. Are you really a gigolo?" TSK, TSK. With his hairstyle, Lin Jingwei's gel has almost been spray dry by you. There was still a third of it left when I secretly used it yesterday. As Bai Nyangzi complained on behalf of Lin Jingwei, he maliciously attacked Chen Guang's head with lightning speed, intending to destroy the hairstyle that he had painstakingly managed to do. Then, the naive young man, Bai Nyangzi, let out a blood-curdling scream, while Chen Guang flashed an expression that said, "You deserve it," and swaggered off. Bai Nyangzi looked at his heavily injured right hand, wanting to cry, but having no tears. Damn it! How hard did this grandson's hair get? It's bleeding from all the poking. There must be a hedgehog on his head. After throwing the bag into the car and placing the heavenly holy grail on the cup holder, Chen Guang whistled and went out the door. In the bag in the front passenger's seat, there was a knitted scarf that he only used in winter and a pair of sunglasses that he had originally planned to buy to show off, but he had only worn it once. Don't ask him why he brought these things. Today, he was going to pick up his left and right hand. If he wasn't prepared and someone took a picture of them and posted it on the internet, he would have to be prepared to say goodbye to his peaceful and comfortable life. Things like international flights were always unpredictable. Most of the time, it would arrive late to the point where it made people want to die. But occasionally, it would arrive an hour early, making people waiting at the airport to be picked up cry silently. For ordinary people, arriving early might be a good thing. But considering the special circumstances of his left and right hand, it would most likely turn into a terrible disaster if they were to stay at the airport for an hour. That was why Chen Guang left so early today. Halfway through the car, he hesitated for a long time and decided to do something. For his left and right hand, giving a Patek Philippe watch might be a simple way to express their gratitude. But for Chen Guang, the significance of this watch was too great. Regardless of whether the other person cared or not, Chen Guang felt that he should express enough gratitude for the other person's kindness. Therefore, he parked the car at a roadside flower shop, spared no effort to buy a large bouquet of white bell-shaped flowers, and put it in the trunk. The flower language of the white bell-shaped flowers was gratitude and gratitude. Although he didn't like Jiang Yage, Chen Guang felt that although friendship was beautiful, it also had to be worldly. If someone was nice to you, you couldn't be so thick-skinned and ungrateful and accept it. People should know how to be grateful. He didn't have much money, so he couldn't give anything valuable, but it wasn't too much to give a bunch of flowers with no extra meaning to express his gratitude. Such a simple gift wouldn't cause any misunderstanding, so why not? It took about half an hour to wrap the bouquet, and it was already 10:30 in the morning when he arrived at the airport. Chen Guang parked the car in the parking lot, walked briskly to the exit of the international flight, and began the long wait. He was so bored that he bought an entertainment newspaper, which was rare. He returned to the parking lot, leaned against his car door, and started reading. The headline of the newspaper was about Big Beard Dang's new movie that was about to finish filming. As a non-professional best actor, Chen Guang slapped his forehead. Before he saw the newspaper, he didn't even know the name of the movie. He didn't even know the theme and plot of the movie from beginning to end. I'm really sorry for the 180,000 yuan that Big Beard Dang and Zhouya gave me. Should I write an article on Dubon later to brag about this movie? Tears Last Days, Chen Guang smiled. Looking at the title of the movie, Big Beard Dang seemed to have a big plan. Sure enough, this was a war epic about a fictional historical environment, depicting two women who played different roles in the chaos of war. One was a valiant heroine, and the other was the only daughter of a loyal minister who lost his country. The whole movie revolved around the two women, one martial and one literary, drawing a picture of turbulent mountains and rivers. It told the story of the ups and downs of a dynasty, the suffering of the people, and also indirectly promoted anti-war ideas. Chun Guang thought of the deputy general he played and laughed. The two characters were so deep, but he was just a brainless, short-tempered, murderous bore. He couldn't help but look forward to it. What would it be like when his classmates or other acquaintances saw his handsome face in the movie theater? Chapter 186. Usually, he didn't read entertainment gossip, but today, he had to receive two celebrities. It was urgent to improve his business skills. As he flipped through the pages, he unknowingly became interested. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, it was almost 12 o'clock. Chun Guang came back to his senses. Oh my God, I've been standing beside the car like a fool for an hour. I don't even feel tired. Either my stamina is too good, or I comprehended Wenwen's inner force when I punched her that day. That's right. That must be it. Just then, the roar of an engine came from the parking lot. It sounded like a sports car. Chun Guang turned his head and saw a Bentley Continental pass the parking lot gate. It started to step on the accelerator and rushed straight towards him. There was an empty spot next to Chun Guang's car. After a short pause, the Bentley stared at the spot and swerved to the back of Chun Guang's car. Then, it rushed to the back of Chun Guang's car and swooped into the garage. The whole process was smooth, without any pause, and it was very cool. Chun Guang raised his eyebrows in disdain. What's the point of being arrogant about a mere Continental? The person standing in front of you is the god of racing. I just drove a Porsche 918 a few days ago. I'll buy a few of your cars for one. My driving skills are way better than yours. Although the person beside me is just a poor little Rena, it doesn't stop me from not being able to stand your shameless, pretentious behavior. Then, the Bentley's driver's door opened, and a figure that could barely be considered familiar came out. Chun Guang curled his lips. It was an old acquaintance. It's been a long time. The person who came out of the car was Zheng He. He seemed to be alone. After getting out of the car, he took out his keys to lock the car and turned to leave. Then, he glanced at Chun Guang out of the corner of his eye. Just as he turned his head, he immediately turned back with a faint smile on his face. Seeing this face, Chun Guang had a thought in his mind. This grandson is looking for a beating. Actually, when Zheng He saw Chun Guang, he had very complicated feelings. Previously, he only thought of Chun Guang as a stinky loser that could be stepped on. He didn't take him seriously at all. He didn't expect that when he brought people to teach him a lesson twice, he would be easily dealt with. The second time, Kim Jong-pan, he finally managed to invite an expert, but he didn't even last for one round. He was knocked to the ground by Chun Guang backhand. He was so embarrassed that he pissed his pants. At that time, he was very unwilling to accept it. He even planned to use some really deadly means. But later, he changed his mind because Wenwen asked second uncle to put some pressure on Zheng He's father, so he had to restrain himself for the time being. As the saying goes, enemies are bound to meet here. Initially, Zheng He intended to turn a blind eye to Chun Guang and leave. But in the blink of an eye, he felt that Chun Guang was just a little more skilled in fighting, and it would be too shameful for him to run away upon encountering Chun Guang. It was as if he was really afraid of Chun Guang. In addition, he ran into Chun Guang and Wenwen in the library later. At that time, Zheng He was so jealous that he almost burnt. It took him a lot of effort to control his emotions. There were so many seats in the parking lot today. It was a coincidence that he came here at that time. Even God wanted him to embarrass him. You can't hit me just because I teased you, right? TSK, TSK. Look at your broken car. What the hell is this? Yo, Chun Guang, what a coincidence. Yo, your car is not bad. He held the car key in his hand and walked in the direction of Chun Guang. F***CK. Relying on your father's ability to buy you a broken Bentley, isn't it? Although this brother's car isn't worth much, it has followed me everywhere. We have a deep relationship, okay? You humiliated my life partner in front of me. This brother is very angry. The Bentley your father bought for you is also not bad, Chen Guang said in a low, muffled voice. You, the dignified young Master Zheng, actually remember my name. Aren't you afraid of lowering your status? Zheng He slightly adjusted the collar of his white shirt, then lowered his head to fiddle with a few specks of dust on his leather shoes. He then glanced at Chen Guang. Of course I have to remember your name, but it has nothing to do with you. It's only because you are Wenwen's friend. If I were you, I wouldn't shamelessly pester Wenwen. Let me repeat what I told you in the beginning. There is an insurmountable barrier between you and Wenwen. Chen Guang rolled his eyes. He thought to himself, you are the one shamelessly pestering Wenwen, not me. I am the one being pestered by Wenwen. Well, you continue to provoke me. Just one more sentence, and I can almost beat you up. Come, don't be a coward. Master Guang's threat was so straightforward. If he said he wanted to beat you up, he didn't want to talk to you at all. Chen Guang's gloomy tone reminded Zheng He of the day when he was first slapped by Chen Guang, then grabbed by his collar and directly threatened his life. He couldn't help but feel a little creeped out. Zheng He's mouth twitched. He really didn't expect to run into Chen Guang here. Today, he came alone without a bodyguard by his side. Now, he really didn't feel the slightest sense of security. Of course, based on what happened to Kim Jongpan that day, an ordinary bodyguard might not be enough. However, he was unwilling to let him leave with his tail between his legs. He could only force a smile. We are all classmates in the same school. Your attitude is too bad. I was just joking with you. Don't mind me. I'm sorry, I don't quite understand such a high-end joke. We're not the same kind of people. Don't make such jokes that will easily cause me to misunderstand. It's better for the two of us to maintain a distance. This is good for everyone. Don't you think so? Chen Guang moved in front of Zheng He and looked at him indifferently. Chen Guang wasn't joking with Zheng He. He had experienced the instantaneous ocean and was no longer the same as before. Otherwise, he might have really been crippled by Kim Jongpan back then. The reason why Chen Guang's attitude towards Zheng He was so vile and domineering was because he knew that as long as this person still had thoughts about Wenwen, there was no way he could feign civility with him. Rather than that, he might as well give him a sufficient sense of threat so that he wouldn't dare to act rashly. Chen Guang didn't know that if it wasn't for Wenwen's pressure, Zheng He wouldn't be so calm after being threatened by him. He really thought that it was his murderous aura that scared Zheng He. After saying that, Chen Guang didn't want to bother with him anymore. He folded the gossip newspaper in his hand and turned to walk towards the exit. Calculating the time, Jiang Yage and Jin Shiyue's plane was about to land. He didn't expect that Zheng He and the others would also come out from the international flight exit. The two of them finally met here. However, with the previous lesson, Zheng He didn't run to Chen Guang's side to invite a snub. Instead, he stood at the other side with a calm face. No one knew what he was thinking. Chapter 187. Zheng He knew that Chen Guang usually ran online to earn money. Although he had never used it, he seemed to have heard that some people would increase the price of an online booking in advance when they came back from abroad so that they could get off the plane and leave as soon as possible. Therefore, Zheng He speculated that Chen Guang had accepted the booking and came over to earn extra money. Thinking about the person he was going to pick up today, Zheng He rolled his eyes and had an idea. Chen Guang held the newspaper behind his back with one hand and held his phone with the other. He stretched his neck to look inside. The notice board had already shown that Jin Jiang and Jin Yu's plane had arrived. It was estimated that they would be coming out soon. On the other side, Zheng He was hiding in a corner and talking to someone on the phone. This grandson had actually contacted the person he was going to pick up first. Chen Guang was a little unhappy. The old man had lost in such a small matter. According to the text message sent by Jiang Yage during the transfer, Chen Guang knew that the two of them were wearing light blue jackets and large-framed sunglasses that covered most of their faces. Jiang Yage was wearing a pink sun hat, while Jin Shiyue was wearing a sky blue sun hat. With such distinctive characteristics, Chen Guang felt that he should be able to easily recognize the two of them. As for why he didn't hold up a sign, what a joke. With my domineering handsomeness, I don't need to hold up a sign. Even if I hid in a crowd, I would definitely be recognized at a glance. Just as he was staring with his eyes wide open, a graceful figure suddenly jumped out from in front of him and bumped into him. There was an assassin. Chen Guang reacted quickly and retreated. "Oomph, you want to assassinate me? Practice for another 10 years. Just as he was feeling proud, the figure in front of him shook her hand. Then, a large glass of orange juice flew out of her hand like a hidden weapon and hit Chen Guang's clothes. The fresh and hot orange juice splashed and enchanted his Hawaiian suit with a layer of bright orange. This damned assassin had a long-range weapon, and the old man fell for it. Chen Guang was infuriated. There were at least 100 people at the exit. Why don't you just scatter it all over my body? My Hawaiian suit is very expensive. I didn't hesitate to spend a lot of money to buy this when I was still a second-generation rich kid in the urban-rural fringe. It added up to more than 1,000. Sorry. I was too careless. I'm sorry." Seeing that she was in trouble, the graceful figure first used her hand to lift her sunglasses, then stretched out a pair of slender hands to touch Chen Guang's body, as if she was going to wipe the orange juice off his body. Chen Guang pushed her hand away impatiently. "Miss, please be more dignified. I'm not familiar with you." However, the woman did not let it go. As she spoke, she reached out to pull on Chen Guang's clothes. Her words were even more apologetic. "I'm really sorry for dirtying your clothes, sir. Are you waiting for someone? Why don't you come with me to the city, and I'll buy you a new suit?" As the woman spoke, she moved her face closer and closer. Then, without changing her expression, she quickly took off her sunglasses, revealing an apologetic face, and quickly put them back on. Chen Guang's heart skipped a beat. "Oh, what's going on today? I haven't even caught up with the big shots in my left and right hands, and I've already bumped into a fish that slipped through the net." The woman's movements were very fast, but Chen Guang still recognized her from glance. She was actually a rising popular movie star. The TV series she starred in had just become popular all over the country. It would not be an exaggeration to say that she was the most popular person in the past 2 months. Chen Guang knew this person because of the entertainment newspaper just now. The headline of the newspaper was "Big Beard Dangs, the Tears of a Country Run Dry," and the headline of the subpage was "This Woman's Scandals." The writing was quite deep and meaningful. Chen Guang purely read it as a YY novel. He didn't expect to actually bump into the main character here. This feeling was very fresh. It was a little strange. Didn't the gossips say that she had a bad temper and liked to act like a big shot? If that's the case, it's nothing more than wet my clothes. Is there a need to be so shameless and put on such an apologetic look in front of me? I always feel that something is wrong. To borrow a famous saying from Big Beard Dang on the set, your acting is a bit too much. In the distance, Zheng He put his hands behind his back with a smile on his face as if everything was under control. Looking at this scene, he sneered in his heart. "Chen Guang, you definitely can't imagine this. This is a big gift I prepared for you. You just accept it." That's right. Zheng He was originally going to pick up this woman. After deciding to mess with Chen Guang, Zheng He changed his mind. There were stars that could be slept with at any time, but the opportunity to make Chen Guang leave Wenwen's side was quite rare. Let this woman use the identity of a dignified star to seduce a little loser like Chen Guang. It was almost in the bag. This woman was also worthy of being a popular movie star. The charm in her movements was natural, and the apologetic and pitiful look in her eyes after doing something wrong. Zheng He, who was secretly observing, could only give a thumbs up. Perfect acting. As long as Chen Guang fell into the trap and brought this woman back to the city, the two of them would have sex again and ask her to quietly leave some evidence. Even if she had to erase her own face, as long as he sent photos and videos of Chen Guang and another woman to Wenwen, he didn't believe that the great goddess one would forgive him, this cheating man. Zheng Yi's plan was very good. Chen Guang almost fell for it. If he hadn't read the newspaper and had suspicions, and if he hadn't been obsessed with Jiang Yage and Zhuo Jingxi's Patek Philippe, he wouldn't have believed that the great goddess one would forgive him, this cheating man. At this time, the two of them were entangled and almost hugging each other. Chen Guang was also kind. Although he was a little annoyed with her, in the end, he still held back and didn't fly into a rage. He thought, "You are a big shot after all. If I really make a fuss and let passersby see the show, it won't be good for you." Moreover, this woman was indeed quite good. In addition, she wasn't wearing thick clothes. Her curvaceous body was rubbing against Chen Guang's body under the pretense of helping him wipe his clothes. Chen Guang had already retreated to the corner of the wall. There was no way out. His heart was very complicated. He was annoyed and happy at the same time. He almost couldn't help but shout for help. "Damn it, I just saw the gossip about you. I know that you are a powerful social butterfly in the world, but your skills are a little too profound. You just randomly grab someone and use your skills. To be honest, I, the old man, can't control your plump body like this. Sir, I'm really sorry. If the person you are waiting for is not particularly important, why don't we go downtown now? I have already booked a room in the hotel. When we get there, I will personally help you change your clothes, okay?" The woman put her mouth close to Chen Guang's ear and gently breathed out her warm breath to tease him. "Please move aside. The person I am waiting for is very important, more important than you." At this critical moment, Chen Guang's reason finally won the upper hand. The social butterfly looked delicious, but Patek Philippe was still more tempting. Besides, although my car is broken and lousy, I have to drive the left and right hands of a national idol. "You, not good enough." "What?" The woman was shocked. She didn't expect that she couldn't even handle such a little boy after using all her skills. Her eyes subconsciously drifted to Zheng He's side. Seeing this, Zheng He knew that he was in trouble. Chen Guang was very sharp. He saw the key point in an instant. Just now, he saw that Zheng He was talking to someone on the phone, but he didn't see the person he was waiting for. Moreover, when the woman came out, she was walking steadily. But when she came in front of him, she inexplicably tripped her right foot with her left foot. The large glass of orange juice flew out of her hand like a precision-guided missile. That shameful performance at the end was too dramatic. "So you were sent by Zheng He to make fun of me from the very beginning." Poor Chen Guang. He still didn't know that Zheng He's teasing was really to give him a beautiful encounter. Otherwise, he might be quite regretful. Chapter 188. Are you done with your act? If you're done, get out of the way. Otherwise, I'll shout your name out loud. There are so many people here. You'll be in for a treat. A celebrity? I don't think you're any better than a prostitute. You flew all the way to Wujing to deliver a package to Zheng He, didn't you? Since they're Zheng He's people, then they're enemies. Hence, Chen Guang wasn't polite with his words. The female celebrity looked a little embarrassed, but she quickly composed herself and walked toward Zheng He. Zheng He sighed. He knew he was exposed. He glared at the female celebrity when she walked over, but did not say anything. Holding onto a damp newspaper, Chen Guang walked in the direction of the two of them. Zheng He thought he was going to hit him, so he took a step back. "Chen Guang, don't do anything stupid. In front of so many people." Chen Guang waved his hand impatiently. Fine. I know you're a coward. You don't have to say it again." As he said that, Chen Guang flipped to the page with the female celebrity gossip. He chuckled and said, "Young Master Zheng, you have a good appetite. Let me help you count how many people there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. TSK. I'm impressed." Chen Guang was furious when he thought about how this bastard looked down on him and how he had sent such a piece of trash to seduce him. He almost fell for it. If he did not come over to discuss this bastard, he would feel suffocated. Zheng He blushed. The female celebrity was also a little embarrassed. Although the gossip in the newspaper was mostly false, she was not clean herself. If it had been someone else, she would have been furious if she had been slapped in the face with this kind of gossip. Unfortunately, when this person came over just now, even Zheng He, the son of the chairman of New Radiance Entertainment, showed his fear. How could the female star dare to treat Chen Guang as a loser anymore? She only thought that this person was Zheng He's sworn enemy. When she thought about how she was actually involved in the fight between the two young masters, she was so nervous that cold air came out from the soles of her feet. Zheng He was embarrassed and felt that he had lost face again. He gritted his teeth and thought, "Damn it, I don't believe that this brat would dare to attack me in public. I promised my father that I wouldn't take the initiative to provoke him, but I didn't say that I can't resist him if he wants to ride on my head, right? Guang, don't be so harsh with your words. There wasn't a single woman in the entertainment industry who was completely clean. You're saying the grapes are sour when you can't eat them. Zheng, he said through gritted teeth. It was undeniable that what he said made sense. The so-called dirty and clean were all relative. To a man, being able to obtain a woman with a certain level of fame was something that gave him a sense of achievement. It didn't matter what other past she had. Guang wanted to be stubborn and say that he wouldn't be interested in a woman like her even if she sent herself to his bed. But he actually looked like he was enjoying himself just now. He couldn't bring himself to say that. Yo, Zheng family's young master, why do your words sound so harsh? Why don't you repeat it for me? At this moment, a sweet voice came from behind Guang. It turned out that Jiang Yage and Jin Shuriwei had come out. They were standing behind Guang with their arms crossed. They were indeed in the attire that they had described to Guang. There were two guards in blue, one on the left and the other on the right. Zheng, he was stunned at first and was about to fly into a rage. He looked up at the woman wearing a pink sun hat behind Guang and felt that she was vaguely familiar. Stop staring. I'm Jiang Yage. I'm also a woman in the entertainment industry. Did you just say that I'm not clean? Jiang Yage said fiercely. Zheng He's eyes opened wider and wider. He felt that he had really barged into an evil spirit today. What the F***CK was going on? He was just disgusting Guang. How did Jiang Yage hear it? Huaxiao was vast and boundless with a sea of people. How'd she hear it? Did she have 8 lifetimes of bad luck? What kind of coincidence was this? As Zheng Yunhao's son, under Zheng Yunhao's guidance, he was fortunate enough to be in the circle of Jin Shuriwei and Jiang Yage. That was why Jiang Yage recognized him. Zheng, he also knew the real background of Jin Shuriwei and Jiang Yage. Perhaps it wouldn't matter if most of the other female stars in the entertainment industry heard what he said, but it just had to be these two. This was troublesome. He couldn't care less about losing face in front of Guang. Zheng, he lowered his head slightly. I'm sorry. I was just angry in a moment and wanted to say something to let that poor brat Guang know the gap between me and him. I didn't expect the two of you to hear it. It really wasn't my intention. I was just saying it out of anger. It can't be taken seriously. Guang didn't expect that Jiang Yage and Zheng, he actually knew each other. Moreover, it seemed that Jiang Yage was a little more assertive. As a gossipy citizen in the past, he had also participated in guessing the real background of his left and right hands. It was only today that he had really glimpsed the tip of the iceberg. The waters of this world are so deep. Fortunately, I'm a good swimmer and won't drown. Dear Guang, he said that you're a poor brat. What should we do? Right at this moment, Jiang Yage suddenly said this behind Guang. Then, she gently held onto Guang's arm. F***CK. The same word suddenly rang in the hearts of both Zheng He and Guang. However, this feeling was completely different. In just a moment, this simple action of Jiang Yage had turned Guang from a chicken into a phoenix in an instant. He was about to ascend to the heavens. Zheng, he was trembling all over. He was all too clear about Guang's real background. He was definitely not the son of some big shot. But what was going on with this guy? It was one thing for One to favor him. But what was up with Jiang Yage today? She definitely wouldn't lower herself to hold Guang's arm just to embarrass him. It was just a harmless tease, and he had immediately apologized to her face. Her behavior could only mean that these two were really familiar with each other. Moreover, their relationship wasn't ordinary. Guang also started to panic. Big sis, our relationship hasn't reached this stage. I can't take it when you act like you're familiar with us. I've just found out that your background isn't ordinary, but you suddenly did this. God knows if there are 70 to 80,000 of your family's bodyguards pointing their sniper rifles at my head. Tomorrow, I'll vanish from the face of the earth. Moreover, what if this grandson, Zheng He, ran to One and gossiped about me? Huh? What am I afraid of? I'm just good brothers with One. In short, there were so many people here. I mustn't let the onlookers who are gradually paying attention to this side see through Jean Zhang's identity. I haven't put on my sunglasses and scarf. What if someone takes a picture and posts it on the internet? That's right. Brother Qingguang, Shuriwei is also very angry. At this moment, Jean Shuriwei, who had been standing quietly behind Qingguang, also did something that exceeded everyone's expectations. Even Jiang Yage was shocked. Jean Shuriwei actually held onto Qingguang's arm. Being attacked from both sides, Qingguang's brain crashed. Who can save me? What should I do now? Someone is going to take a picture. My life is going to be ruined. Zhang, he was completely speechless. Although Jiang Yage and Jean Shuriwei were both wearing sunglasses and makeup, making it hard for passersby to recognize them, their action of fighting for a husband was really too scary. Zhang, he felt that his worldview was about to collapse. Chapter 189. Zhang, he felt that he could not stay any longer. Compared to the two women who were holding onto Qingguang's left and right hands, the little movie star that he was so proud of earlier had become a tragedy. He was clearly the future successor of New Radiance, but he was wearing a pair of worn-out shoes that had been worn out. On the other hand, Qingguang was wearing two pairs of crystal and diamond shoes that everyone could only dream of. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I still have some matters to attend to, so I'll be leaving first. I'll come back another day to apologize. Zhang Yi's face was flushed red as he bowed deeply at Jiang Yage before turning to leave. The starlet, who was already pale with fright, bowed deeply at Qingguang. I'm sorry, Mr. Chun. I really scram. Jiang Yage did not let her finish her sentence. What a joke. My big brother Qingguang is someone that a fickle woman like you can cozy up to. The starlet shuddered and quickly turned to chase after Zhang Yi. It was obvious that Zhang He did not want to see her anymore. When she caught up to Zhang He from afar, she was pushed to the ground with a slap. However, she still struggled to get up and continued to follow behind Zhang He. Qingguang sighed softly in his heart. Actually, this kind of woman was very pitiful. She did not do anything wrong. It was only because Zhang He had lost face because of her that she was treated coldly. Yet, she still had to follow him like a dog, wagging her tail and begging for pity because she could not afford to offend Zhang He. People would only become humble and submissive when they had something to ask for. Only someone like me, who has no desires, can live a free and easy life in this world of materialistic desires, right? Big brother Qingguang, I have the watch with me. But if you want it, I have a condition. Jiang Yage moved her mouth close to his ear again and whispered softly. Damn it, I failed to act cool. I'm kneeling. Don't dawdle here. Someone is already suspecting your identities. Let's go. Qingguang calmly pulled his hands out of the arms of the two women and took the lead to walk forward. Although the beauty was good, he did not dare to enjoy it. The two of them were too famous, and deep in Qingguang's heart, he really didn't want to have that kind of weird relationship with them. On the internet, there were too many vivid examples of ordinary people mixing with celebrities, and their lives were completely exposed to the spotlight. Qingguang really didn't want that to happen. Being the underwear Superman for the two of them had already made him extremely distressed. If he were to become the celebrity's boyfriend again, he would really be poor. He also didn't know how much pressure he would have to face from their families. He couldn't bear it. Why were there two of them? Qingguang slapped his forehead. Just now he held Jiang Yage's hand. Although he was caught unprepared, with this woman's usual temperament, it seemed to be reasonable. Jean Shuyue's action made him a bit confused. Jiang Yage also couldn't understand. The two women followed behind Qingguang. She whispered to Jean Shuriwei and asked, Big Sister Shuriwei, why were you holding his hand just now? Women were like this. No matter how good their relationship was, there were some things that they weren't willing to share with others. Jean Shuriwei knew what Jiang Yage was concerned about, but only faintly smiled. Didn't you want to help him scare that New Light's Zhang family's young master? Just you alone isn't enough. Didn't you see how scared that Zhang fellow was when I also held his hand? He must be doubting his life when he goes back, right? Jiang Yage immediately let go of her wariness. She convulsed with laughter and heavily patted Jean Shuryue's shoulder. That's right, that's right. Look at his expression just now. It's as if he saw the end of the world. Ha ha ha. Chun Guang, who was walking in front, eavesdropped on the two's whispering, but didn't say anything. He had a feeling that Jean Shuryue's actions weren't that simple. After all, the strength she used to hold his hand wasn't lighter than Jiang Ye's. Perhaps she used even more strength? When the three of them arrived at the car park, Zhang He had already driven away in his broken Bentley. At this moment, Chun Guang was feeling smug. You might be driving a Bentley, but your car is filled with worn-out shoes. On the other hand, I might be driving a tattered Rena, but my car is more refined than yours. At first, Jiang Ye wanted to sit in the front passenger seat, but Chun Guang wouldn't agree no matter what. The glass sticker next to the front passenger seat wasn't very bright. He was afraid that people would recognize Jiang Ye from the outside, so he chased the two of them to the back seat. Should I send you to the hotel directly to rest? Bringing out his professionalism as a driver, Chun Guang asked out of concern since the two of them had just returned from a long journey, so they definitely needed a good rest. Unexpectedly, both Jiang Ye and Jean Shuryue shook their heads. Jiang Ye blinked playfully and said, "We almost turned into cocoons on the plane. Why will we go to the hotel? Didn't I say it just now? The watch will definitely be given to Brother Chun Guang, but there are conditions." Jean Shuryue poked Jiang Ye's waist, asking her to restrain herself. Jiang Ye didn't agree. "Sister Shuryue, don't poke me. We have agreed before that I will be fully responsible for the watch." Jean Shuryue sighed and didn't say anything more. Chun Guang slapped himself in the face. Damn, the old man is walking further and further away from the path of having no desires. You can't expect me to repay you with my body just for this watch, right? To be honest, I will make a lot of money that way. Chapter 190. Seeing that Chun Guang was angry, Jean Shuryue poked Jiang Ye with all her might. Jiang Ye blushed. I accidentally got carried away again. How would they know that Chun Guang's angry look was just a facade? In fact, he was also in a dilemma. Should he take the watch or not? He was not sure if Jiang Ye was serious or just teasing him. After all, this woman had too many bad records. He asked himself. From this angle, Jiang Ye's plump breasts were indeed very attractive. Chun Guang had seen Jiang Ye's dance performance on TV more than once. Although Jiang Ye's left and right hand were not famous for their dance music, that was only because the two women's talents were too comprehensive. She had been dancing for a long time, so her figure was far more fit and beautiful than the average person. Her natural perky breasts were even more attractive under her deliberate perky breasts. It was not hard to imagine that the elasticity must be excellent. If I really take it, can I really put my hand into her neckline? But is it possible that she is testing me on purpose? If I really put my hand in, will she and Jean Shuryue look down on me? Damn, it's very possible. You're so vicious, digging such a big hole for me out of nowhere. Umph. How can a gentleman like me give in so easily? Chun Guang continued to keep a straight face and activated his sage mode. Jiang Ye looked at Chun Guang timidly. She was a little scared, but no one knew what was going on in her mind. She suddenly plucked up her courage and clenched her teeth. Fight! She, who was sitting in the back row, suddenly stretched out her hand and grabbed Chun Guang's hand that was hanging in midair. Then, she stretched it toward her chest. Damn, I'm going to explode. Chun Guang roared in his heart. Take it. Oh my God, I suddenly feel weak. There must be something wrong. Well, it's my moral integrity that is broken. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Ye pulled Chun Guang's hand to her chest. She was also flustered and didn't aim at the right angle, causing her to bump into Chun Guang. The claw deviated by 3 inches and hit one of the peaks, almost flattening it. For a brief moment, Chun Guang was at a loss as to what to do. Jean Shuryue was also shocked by Jiang Ye's sudden action. She looked at Chun Guang and thought that he was going to get angry, so she quickly pulled Jiang Ye's hand. Jiang Ye's mind instantly sobered up. When she looked at Chun Guang's bulging eyes, she was also scared. When she thought of her behavior just now, she felt that she was crazy. She quickly let go of Chen Guang's hand and squeezed out an apologetic expression. She pouted and took out the watch from her chest and handed it to him. Here, I'm sorry. It's rare to see you. I was too happy. I was just joking with you. Really, thank you for saving my life. I hope you don't mind. This is Sister Shiyue's and my kind intentions. It's a rare limited edition Patek Philippe. It's not the kind that can be bought online. Patek Philippe finally got his hands on it, but Chen Guang's mood of being stimulated by Jiang Yage just now was gone. Finally, you're here. My Patek Philippe. Jiang Yage's white, jade-like fingers gently rested on the watch. The watch mirror, made of natural sapphire, was so bright and dazzling under the sunlight. The round and steady dial shone with a silver metallic luster. The hands inside, and even every scale on the dial, looked so perfect and harmonious. It was simply a work of art that excelled the workmanship of nature. The lines on the crocodile skin strap were so fine and neat, so exquisite that people couldn't bear to touch it. Looking at it quietly, Chen Guang tried to control his breathing and heartbeat. He didn't want to appear so worldly, but this watch was really too important. It was so important that he felt that his heartbeat was about to stop just by looking at it. Jean Shirue on the side took on the role of the commentator. This watch was brought back from Geneva by a friend of mine a few days ago. It is said that it is one of the most satisfactory works of Patek Philippe's chief master, Bronte Comet. Of course, it is only a property after all. It is not as precious as life. When you saved our lives, someone took a video. We saw you sprinting against time in the water, and we also thought that giving you this watch is the best way to express our gratitude. It's nothing. It's really nothing. Everything is predestined. For me to appear there at that time, it was also fate. It was fate. Even without me, maybe someone else could have done it. Chen Guang said, but his heart was beating faster. He had checked the price of Patek Philippe on the internet. He thought it was at most 5 or 600,000 yuan. But listening to Jiang Yage and Jean Shirue, it seemed that 5 or 600,000 yuan was not enough to buy this watch. Although he didn't know Bronte Comet, since he was called the chief, the things he made would not be cheaper than those mass-produced by others. Just like the same brush calligraphy, some people's calligraphy was worth more than 10,000 yuan, while some people's rice paper could only be piled up at home. Well, the more valuable it was, the better. Chen Guang slowly reached out and approached the watch little by little. He even blamed Jiang Yage in his heart. Such a valuable thing, but you put it in your bag casually instead of putting it in a box. What if it was scratched? At this moment, Jiang Yage's fingers accidentally shook, and the Patek Philippe slipped from her fingers and fell to the ground in front of the 3 people's stunned eyes. I was scared to death. I was scared to death. Fortunately, there was no damage. Chen Guang carefully put the watch into the box and glared at Jiang Yage. Be careful. Look, after I got the thing, I instantly recovered my domineering attitude. Jiang Yage felt wronged. My skin is too good. I didn't expect it to be so smooth. Did you eat slippery fruit? Chen Guang was ready to start the car and leave. Let me tell you, when I saved the 2 of you that day, Jean Shirue had already lost consciousness. You're probably still a little conscious. At that time, I admired you. You actually pushed Jean Shirue over, and you were pushed far away. At that time, I simply admired you and felt that you were a living great man. But now, you have completely destroyed your image of a great man in my heart. Your star image and the light of a saint in my heart have completely collapsed. There is such a thing? I have no impression at all. Sister Shirue, don't listen to his nonsense. Jiang Yage looked like she didn't remember at all. Bah. What image of saint? I'm not so noble. Jean Shirue trembled slightly. She squeezed out a complicated smile on her face and glanced at Jiang Yage. Yage! Jiang Yage waved her hand like an electric fan. Sister Shirue, don't look at me like that. I don't believe it myself. Chen Guang, don't talk nonsense. She appeared to be very flustered. Chen Guang didn't expect that after he accidentally said this, it would make the 2 women so embarrassed. That's true. After all, it's a life. Who can face it calmly? But looking at Jiang Yage's appearance, it seems that she has always remembered it. Jean Shirue only found out today. Well, I took the initiative to help this deceiving woman repair her image. Forget it. I will help them divert attention. If I knew that you didn't want to let Jean Shuriwen know, I wouldn't have let it slip. By the way, since I said that I will agree to your request, say it. Although I have hundreds of thousands of affairs every minute, I've already planned the whole day for you two distinguished guests. The old man has been running the internet for more than 10 years. I have picked up tens of thousands of customers, but there is really no one as distinguished as you two. Chen Guang began to play funny. His mood is indeed very good. He got the watch. Just now, Jiang Yage went crazy and gave him such a good benefit. How can he not be happy? To be honest, it feels good to be friends with her. Not lacking money, also giving benefits. But she shouldn't really like me, right? I feel that she is very slutty. This kind of woman, I can take advantage of her, but I must not take her seriously. Celebrities are really deep, but we are not the same kind of people. Don't think of a toad eating swan meat. Jiang Yage and Jean Shuriwen immediately diverted their attention. Chapter 191. Then we'll go with the original plan. Jiang Yage's eyes lit up as she asked Jean Shuriwen. Jean Shuriwen was a little absent-minded. She nodded and said, "That's it. Take us out to play. It's been a long time since the two of us had a good time playing together. You know how tiring it is to be a celebrity. There's no freedom at all." Jiang Yage leaned against the back of the passenger seat and said to Chen Guang. Chen Guang thought that they were probably going to the private club for coffee. He nodded and said, "Okay, I'll do whatever you want." Jiang Yage was overjoyed. "Then it's a deal. Let's go to Disneyland." Chen Guang's mind was in a daze until the three of them stood nervously under the Ferris wheel. He didn't think that the two of them would be so daring. They didn't play by the rules and were completely unreasonable. Weren't they afraid of being recognized? Well, there was no possibility of being recognized. Sun hats, big sunglasses, and big masks with Nick the Fox and Judy the Bunny printed on them. It's fine if we're fully armed, but why are you doing the same? Don't you look even more suspicious? Jiang Yage said in a muffled voice through the mask. Chen Guang didn't look much better. He wore the same big sunglasses, and from his neck all the way to his eyes, he was wrapped tightly in his scarf. He was quite safe like this. It was just a little hot. After all, it was a summer day when a child was licking 2 popsicles. The scarf was too thick, and Chen Guang's voice sounded like a cricket trapped in a pressure cooker. "If the two of you are recognized, you can run back and continue your celebrity life. I can't. I still have to study in school and earn money. If I'm involved in a scandal, how am I going to live in the future? But isn't your scarf too suspicious? Isn't there a more reliable way?" Jean Shuriwen couldn't help but ridicule him. She seemed to have adjusted her state of mind. Chen Guang said helplessly, "Didn't I go look for a mask seller just now? I can't find it. Seriously, you two didn't even prepare one more for me. I didn't expect you to come to an amusement park with so many people coming and going." Chen Guang felt that everyone who passed by them seemed to be sizing them up suspiciously. There was something fishy about everyone. Fortunately, it was a lucky hit. His appearance was too eye-catching, so he stole the limelight from the two women. Not many people noticed these 2 ticking time bombs. Although it wasn't the peak season, the newly opened Disneyland's business was booming. There was a sea of people. Chen Guang was as nervous as a sheepdog that had brought 2 lambs into a pack of wolves. But thankfully, he managed to escape unscathed after trying the roller coaster, trapeze, Ferris wheel, and pirate ship. "All right, you might as well take off your scarf. I have a feeling that you're going to get a heat stroke." Jiang Yage took out a handkerchief from her pocket and wiped it on Chen Guang's reddened forehead with pity. Chen Guang took a step back without a change in expression. It's fine. I'm in good health. I can take it. Where are you going to play next? Let's go play the bumper cars." Jiang Yage suddenly had a whim. "What if you knock your hat off? When we were on the roller coaster just now, your hat almost flew off." Chen Guang objected. Jean Shuriwen was perhaps a little thirsty. She said, "Wait a moment. I'll go buy 3 bottles of drinks." "Sure, but you two have to go to the toilet to drink. You have to take off your masks when you drink water." Chen Guang's vigilance was also unparalleled. A person with non-obsessive compulsive disorder couldn't consider so many details. Don't listen to him. We won't be discovered if we pull apart a little. Sister Shuriwe, go quickly. We'll wait for you here. As elegant ladies and dignified national idols, how could they agree to Chun Guang's unscrupulous suggestion? It was impossible even if they were beaten to death. In fact, this kind of thing should have been done by Chen Guang, but Jean Shuriwe seemed to have completely planned to give up the idea of Chen Guang in her heart. Since Chen Guang leaked the matter of Jiang Ye's life, although there was no change on the surface, her behavior had been a lot more polite to Chen Guang. Jiang Ye hadn't noticed it yet, but Chen Guang had vaguely felt it. Perhaps when Jean Shuriwe had held his hand at the airport earlier, there had been a deeper meaning behind it. Unfortunately, the deeper meaning had only just begun to emerge and was about to be gradually buried by her. However, Chen Guang didn't have any regrets. After all, he and they weren't people of the same world. As for Jiang Ye, he always felt that Jiang Ye was joking with him. He thought that Jiang Ye's personality was just that cheerful and bold. Her so-called intimate and ambiguous actions were because she was like that. You could be friends, but don't think that she would really treat you seriously. If your heart was moved, you would probably end up with a body full of injuries. Although she actually gave him benefits, it only made Chen Guang subconsciously feel that she was this unruly. At this time, Jean Shuriwe took the initiative to buy drinks for herself to create a rare time for the two of them to be alone. Unfortunately, Chen Guang and Jiang Ye didn't realize it. In the end, in less than a minute, he heard a scream from the crowd. The voice was familiar. It was Jean Shuriwe. Chen Guang hurriedly looked over and saw that she was surrounded by 4 young men. With one look, he could tell that these 4 young men were hot-blooded and vigorous. Qin Yishui was wearing a short singlet, revealing the strong muscles on his shoulders. Chen Guang also had a headache. This was the situation he was most afraid of when he brought these 2 out. Even though the 2 of them covered their faces, they couldn't hide the excellent figures that they had trained as artists over the years. Women who were too beautiful were indeed troublemakers. Little girl, you stepped on brother's foot. Do you want to leave without saying sorry? Jean Shuriwe hugged the 3 bottles of drinks with both hands and desperately bowed to the young man who was talking to her. She forcefully lowered her voice and said, "Sorry, I'm really sorry. I didn't do it on purpose." She didn't dare to make her voice too loud. After all, their voices were very recognizable, and she was afraid that others would recognize them. "Louder! Little girl, your voice is too soft. I can't hear you clearly. Is there something wrong with you? Why are you wrapped up so tightly on such a hot day? Are you ashamed?" The young man in a singlet looked at Jean Shuriwe with a sly smile and smacked his lips. There was indeed a shoe print on the back of his foot from Jean Shuriwe's step. He led the other 3 people to block Jean Shuriwe and not let her leave. It was obvious that he had taken a fancy to Jean Shuriwe, who had a perfect figure. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was playing a hooligan in public. He even planned to tear off Jean Shuriwe's mask to see if this woman's face was as perfect as her figure, so that he could more or less take advantage of her. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly extended his hand, intending to tear off Jean Shuriwe's mask. Jean Shuriwe panicked. She wanted to retreat, but there was also a young man in a singlet behind her. She could only let go of the 3 bottles of drinks and try to protect her mask first. Chen Guang broke into a run as he watched. There were already many people looking in Jean Shuriwe's direction. It would be terrible if she really tore off this bastard's mask in public. Chapter 192. Killing is just a matter of nodding one's head to the ground. Stop! Before he got close, Chen Guang had already shouted at the top of his lungs. The 4 men in tank tops looked towards Chen Guang's direction and saw an even more suspicious scarf-masked man coming towards them. Behind him was a beauty with a mask and sunglasses. Interesting. A man and 2 women sneaking around. What is there to hide from others? Your woman stepped on my foot. How can I, Ruan Jiankai, put my face when you tell me to stop? The most arrogant man in tank top was obviously not going to let it go so easily. That's right. Kid, do you know who Brother Jinkai is? He's a seeded fighter in our city's martial arts competition. He's a reputable person. Don't you want your woman to apologize? Since Ruan Jiankai said his name, the other three men didn't hide it anymore. One of them said this and blocked Qinguang. Since Ruan Jiankai was a contestant in some kind of fighting competition, the other three should be similar to him. They were also martial artists. Jin Shiyue's heart turned cold. She didn't expect that she accidentally stepped on someone's foot while buying a drink. She didn't expect to provoke someone who learned martial arts. Moreover, the other party's temper was so hard to deal with. What should she do now? Jiang Yage was still a little far away. Hearing this, she frowned and stopped, intending to call someone. F*CK. I don't care if you're Ruan Jinkai or a soft-footed shrimp. Scram. I'll beat you to death. Qinguang was furious. Seeing that something big was about to happen, he was burning with anxiety and his temper flared up. Seeing that the other party wasn't going to be kind, he naturally struck first to gain the upper hand. He had to protect Jin Shiyue's mask. He couldn't let her recognize him. His heavy fist, filled with anger, smashed towards the nose of the man in front of him. No one thought that Qinguang would take the initiative to attack. His sudden attack caught everyone off guard. The heavy fist, with a violent anger, smashed fiercely on the kid's face. With a muffled sound, the man didn't even have the chance to scream or raise his hand to cover his nose. Instead, he fell to the ground. He was knocked out on the spot by Qinguang's sudden heavy punch. Jiang Yage, who was about to call for help, was dumbfounded. Her phone fell to the ground with a clatter. There was only one thought in her mind. Oh no! Ruan Jiankai, who was about to grab Jin Shiyue, was also dumbfounded. The young man who blocked Qinguang was his junior in the dojo. Although his strength wasn't that great, he had been training in combat for half a year. His body was also very sturdy. His coach said that he had quick reflexes and was a good seedling, but he was knocked down in one move. There was no reason for that. Jin Shiyue cupped her hands and covered her eyes. She couldn't bear to look in that direction. Her mind was blank. Someone in the crowd next to her had already screamed. Those who saw the whole thing from the beginning to the end were secretly cursing Qinguang for being too impulsive. Doesn't this young man know how to talk nicely to others? There are 4 of them, and they are all so sturdy. Something big is going to happen. Sigh. He can't do anything about it. Look at the other 4 young men. They don't look like they can talk nicely. He can't do anything about it, right? Why don't we help him call the police? Why do you care so much about other people's business? Let's go, let's go. Many people around had the same thought at this time, but there were also some brave people who couldn't bear to leave and continued to watch the show. Ruan Jiankai first glared at Jin Shiyue fiercely and said, "I'll come back to deal with you later." Although one of his people was down, Ruan Jiankai didn't particularly care. After all, the young man was a newcomer. His level was relatively low. Perhaps he was caught off guard by the sudden sneak attack. The other 2 people had already moved in the direction of Qinguang one after the other. Looking at their companion who had fallen on the ground, his eyes were open, but only the whites of his eyes could be seen. His nose was bleeding, and the bridge of his nose was crooked to one side. It seemed that the injury was not light. It was unknown whether it was dislocated or fractured. Tragic, really tragic. The 2 of them were suddenly furious. They were people who had trained hard in the boxing ring and obtained a lot of results, but they were actually knocked down by this young man's sneak attack. How could they tolerate this? Brat, do you want to die? One of them clenched his fist and came in the direction of Qinguang. He had learned from the previous person's lesson. Although he looked arrogant on the surface, he had secretly concentrated all his energy and planned to teach this sinister villain a lesson. Qinguang was silent and continued to move forward. He only stopped when he was in front of this person. Get out of the way. Once he thought of the impact that might be caused if Jin Shiyue's mask was pulled off, Qinguang's mood couldn't be good. Moreover, it was clearly these few grandsons who were pestering him. Did they really think that he was made of clay? Damn, we all thought that we were the most arrogant, but you're almost as arrogant as the heavens. This person first cursed, then angrily threw a punch, aiming directly at Qinguang's face. Qinguang suddenly leaned to the side and tilted his head to the side, narrowly avoiding the opponent's punch. Then he slightly bent his waist and clenched his right hand into a fist. Suddenly, he punched upwards and hit the opponent's chin. Chun Guang's movements were too fast, and the strength of his fist was too strong. Although this person already knew that he was in trouble when Chun Guang dodged, and that his opponent was really an expert, his reaction was a step too late. Chun Guang's punch sent him flying into the air before he fell to the ground. In the end, he couldn't even last a single round. After putting down the second person, Chun Guang didn't stop. He took a step forward with his right foot, and before the second person fell to the ground, he had already swept past him. The third guy in tank top was first shocked and subconsciously took a step back. What are you afraid of? He can't possibly let all four of us be defeated by him alone. Ruan Jinkai had already walked up and said fiercely from behind, "Brother Jinkai, he seems to be really strong." Although this person no longer retreated, he didn't dare to move forward. Ruan Jinkai snorted. "How strong can he be? Coward, get lost." Ruan Jinkai said, clenched his fist, and stood in front of Chun Guang. Chun Guang tilted his head and looked at Jin Shuriwei, who was blocked behind him. Thank God, her Nick Fox mask was still on her face. This matter was caused by you guys. If you're a little more conscientious and step aside, I won't pursue this matter any further. Chun Guang said with a straight face. Do you think I won't pursue this matter just because you say so? Do you really think you're a big shot just because you have a little bit of skill? Today, I will teach you what it means to say that there is always someone better than you. Ruan Jinkai was a hot-tempered person, and as a professional fighter, he had his own pride. His own people were beaten up in front of his eyes, and he felt that he couldn't be kind. Although the cause of this matter was indeed because he had bad intentions towards Jin Shuriwei, he didn't think that he was in the wrong. As soon as he finished speaking, he took the initiative to attack Chun Guang. He suddenly pounced forward and raised his leg, which was a combination of Muay Thai techniques and a knee strike. His movement was very fast. From the moment he was about to raise his leg to the knee, strike in front of Chun Guang, it was only a short moment, and it carried a strong and heavy force. At this moment, Chun Guang was truly enraged. Fuck, you want to die? I will fulfill your wish. He suddenly took half a step back, clenched his right hand into a fist, and punched Ruan Jinkai's knee meniscus from top to bottom. Chun Guang's fist and Ruan Jinkai's knee strike were actually going to meet force with force. A cold smile appeared on Ruan Jinkai's face. I have been training in martial arts for at least 5 to 6 years, and this knee strike technique is even more years of hard work. You actually dare to use your fist to attack. Aren't you afraid of breaking your wrist? Just as he was thinking about this, bang, a muffled sound that made people's ears ache rang out, and the fist and knee finally collided fiercely. Then, Chun Guang's fist did not bend as he expected, but a sharp pain came from his own knee. How could he have known that his knee indeed had several years of hard work, but Chun Guang's fist had been trained in the sea of fleeting time for 20 years? Pain shot through his whole body like lightning, and Ruan Jinkai's mouth opened wider and wider, and he was about to cry out in pain. But Chun Guang suddenly formed a claw with his left hand and grabbed his face. His left leg stepped forward, tripping Ruan Jinkai's left calf, and his left hand exerted force, and Ruan Jinkai's whole body fell backwards. From the beginning of the fight to the time all three of them were knocked down, not even 40 seconds had passed. Feeling the dull pain in the bones of his right hand, Chun Guang grinned. This person had some skill, and if he was not careful and really fought with him in a tug-of-war, he might not have one so easily. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame yourself for daring to meet force with me. In the blink of an eye, the situation had changed, and the surrounding crowd was completely dumbfounded. The last guy in a vest wasn't much better. He was trembling and couldn't say a word. How could he still dare to be arrogant? You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.